everyone. All right, time is 6:39. We're starting our meeting. Welcome, everyone, District 28, the great, to our March calendar meeting. And I'm excited because we have some new members today that I get to introduce. And before I even introduce them, I just want to just let everybody know that within our last meeting to this meeting, we had two phenomenal celebrations for two birthdays. Our own administrative assistant that's always working behind the scenes, Dorinda, celebrated her birthday. And our very own special, Simone, celebrated her birthday. So I'd just like to just give a round of applause to, and congratulate them for another year. Well, sir, thank you. And all the Spanish interpreters, would you mind just introducing yourselves and putting information in the chat?
Hi there. There are two Spanish interpreters. I'm Juan. The other one is Alex. In the chat, if you'd, I'm going to repeat this message in Spanish as well. Please dial in 347-966-4114, and the ID number is 575-381-773, hashtag number sign. Buenas, tenemos interpretación en español. Debe marcar el número 347-966-4114 y la contraseña es 575-381-773, signo numeral. También está en la conversación en el chat este número. Okay, the Spanish announcement is complete.
Thank you so much. And since our recording secretary is still in transit, I will I'll have Yutal do our roll call.
All right. Okay, we just go through the list, right? Okay. President Quentin Medley.
Present.
Okay. First Vice President Lauren Clement.
Here.
Second Vice President Yutao Chen. Here. Recording Secretary Nativa Lewis. Not here. Treasurer Tanya Wen. Absent. Okay. Member Julie Sao.
Can you hear me? I'm here. Remote.
Thank you. Member Lu Zhao. Member GK Naram.
Yes, yeah.
Member Paquita Williams.
Here.
Member Simone Dunbar.
Here.
Member Jennifer Sobert.
Here.
And that's it. All right. We have okay. Oh, okay, yeah. Jen. Okay. That's okay. And the member Jada Crawford.
Here.
Thank you. We don't have quorum at this in-person quorum at this point, but we can start the meeting. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. And Simone, if you do not mind explaining the chat features.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our March calendar meeting. We have the chat open, and you can type in your questions during presentations, or if you would like to make a public comment, you can type your name and speak, or just speak. No, name and speak, that's easier. We will put you down on a list and call you up later. When using the chat, please remain respectful and friendly, especially when in disagreements. If we notice that the chat becomes disrespectful, we will close it. Thank you so much for your understanding.
Thank you, Simone. And if Jennifer Sobers, our new member, and Utal, don't mind just monitoring the speakers in the chat. So if anybody wants to speak at the end of our meeting, please put speak in the chat. And in the order that you put your name, we will call on you at the open part at the end of the meeting. Now, again, I'd like to just welcome everybody to our March meeting. And principals and elected officials, please update your names just so we can call on you to acknowledge you. And we have a lot of holidays this month. This is March, and March has, got March Madness. We got a lot of stuff, but March, I definitely want to acknowledge Ramadan, Mubarak. And we will try our best. I will really, really try my best that we could finish early tonight, because I know many of you are observing the fasting and night prayers. We also want to wish the Jewish community a happy early Purim. We also want to wish everyone who's celebrating a happy early Lent. And this month is raise awareness of colon cancer and Ramadan. Yeah, I mentioned that first. That was first. It's okay. And that's the leading cause of cancer of death in Americans aged 18 to 49. So even after reading that, I'm probably going to make an appointment. National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. It is National Nutrition Month. It is National Traumatic Brain Injury Awareness Month. It is National Workplace Eye Wellness Month. Multiple Sclerosis Education and Awareness Month. Myeloma Action Month. National Endometriosis Awareness Month. National Kidney Month, and National Women's History Month. International Women's Day is this month, and National Social Work Month, which our own Arzu is a social worker. You can call Arzu, right? I believe so. I want to make sure we acknowledge Arzu member.
Yes.
And National Ethics Awareness Month. Wow, we got a lot to celebrate this month. But as we start all of our meetings, I always want to welcome our district leader, Dr. Superintendent Blake. We really, really are blessed to have this district leadership, because we do a lot of work behind the scenes. And I want to acknowledge all our council members who are working tirelessly behind the scenes outside of this one meeting, doing the work to really address the concerns of our community and our schools. And the district leadership, they're always willing to do the most and go above and beyond to support us and our goals. And of course, our administrative assistant, Dorinda, who's always working behind the scenes, as you could always see from the emails. And those of you who contact us, your message always gets through. So I want to welcome Dr. Superintendent Blake. Please it's your time.
Good night, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to our regular CEC meeting. What makes our meeting special tonight is that the budget presentation. Before I do that, I just want to say that it is the goal of District 28 to ensure that each student graduates on a pathway to a rewarding career and long-term economic security, equipped to be a positive force for change. And that is the general mission of the New York City Public Schools. However, what does that mean for District 28? District 28 is a beautiful tapestry. It's a mosaic of different cultures, different histories. It's a very diverse district. And we believe that in diversity, there lies our strength, right? So it doesn't matter although we're different, and that's what makes us beautiful and coming together. So our district has 3 pillars in our mission and our vision. It's really about achievement of our students, for all our scholars, all under 22,000 scholars. Our aim and mission is to enable those students to achieve literacy and numeracy gains, right? And the next one, number 2, is to chip away at chronic absenteeism. We know that it has been plaguing our district, and we're trying to make school a home away from home so our students are there, and also to involve parents in that triangular, so to speak, approach. And then, of course, the next one is to encourage meaningful parent engagement. So that is basically the overview. But I just want to say before going further, I want to thank every member on tonight, members of my cabinet, the principals who are doing the work, the real work in the district. I want to thank you so much for coming on. I want to give a shout out to esteemed member Dr. Shango Blake, same name, Dr. Blake, who has really been pioneering with us our Black Studies curriculum, which has been successfully piloted in 10 of our schools, and they fit right in with with the passport curriculum in social studies. And it is our intention to extend that so that our kids see themselves in the curriculum. And when that is done, it is more culturally responsive and also very, very engaging. All right, so let's get back to the purpose. So those are just my overview. The purpose of tonight is to look at our budget, to do the budget presentation, to understand the review of the New York City, the public schools budget, review fair student funding, and to review the school budget web pages. I'm going to ask Dr. All to share it for me so while I go through each of the slides. Trying to see it. Right. Okay, as I said, the overview is to provide some awareness and transparency with budget. When I talk about budget, everybody knows basically it's about expenditure, because we need money to be able to activate and to realize our vision and mission, right? So budget is very, very important where that is concerned. Next slide, please. So the question is, where does our funding come from, and how is the budget being spent? And we'll be looking at district-specific budget and school-specific budget information or allocation. So I should have said that there are 2 members of the central team, District 28, Brenda Trio and Annie Peralta. They are the budget experts who are here to help to frame and answer questions as we move along. Let's move to the next slide. So where does our funding come from? And the nice little pie chart shows that the state provides $15 billion, or 36% of the budget, while the city gives a big chunk of $23 billion, which is 58%. So the bulk of our money comes from the city, but also supplemented by federal funding that provides 6% or $2 billion, and all others make up 1% of the budget. So that comprises of budget allocation amount of $40.8 billion, or you could say 32,284 per student. Our budget for the 24-25 school year, or the fiscal year 2025, is $40.8 billion, as I said, and we're estimating that we'll spend over 32,284 per student ratio. So the student equals funding, and the colorful chart indicates the source or the sources of the funding. Let's move on to the next slide. All right, how is New York City public schools budget spent? This gives you the overview. 7.9 billion goes to employee benefits and pensions. 3.5 goes to debt services, and so on. 2.5 billion goes to non-public and contract schools as per special education mandates. That is very, very important, because sometimes the special education mandates are not being serviced in our regular public schools. So we have the public schools. However, the Department of Education still have to provide funding to fund those mandates. So we have K-12 schools with 15.7%, which is $15.7 billion, or 38%. School operations take about 5.1, which is 13%. You have charter schools, very, very important. Charters 3.8, make up 8%. So the government also, the city has to provide funding for charter schools as well. And then debt payments, 3.5. Employee benefits and pension, we said before, take up a chunk of that, which is 19%. So non-public and contract schools also is accounted for. So we have like superintendents and field only picks up only 0.3% or less than 1% of the budget goes to the central, goes to the superintendents, and then central, another 0.4 or below 1%. So our office makes, I mean, collectively, very, very small, a minute, minuscule amount of the money is on that, but the bulk of it goes to the schools, and we'll be looking at it. So we have for instruction, for example, 15.7, as I said, and $384 million or 1% goes to our central administrative office, to run the schools, and the superintendency collectively, which is 323 million or 1%, goes to our superintendents and field offices. Let's move on, next slide. So let's look at this, that is in general overview. What is happening in our district, District 28? So for the 24-25 school year, the District 28 is allocated $640 million. Seems to be a lot, but in terms of services, there's always need, room for more. So the other state and local gives us 8%. Fair student funding picks up a biggest chunk of the budget, $477 million, or which represents 75%. So we'll be focusing on what is fair student funding, because that is the bulk of our allocation that is used to run the school. As of the school year 2025, this budget has been adopted. So let's sort of break down the 640 million to the next slide, please. Where can I find information about my school's budget? So this is very, very important. We could go to the website, you say find a school. You see the different steps, right? Then step 1, choose a school. You could look at the school, and it gives you an overview of the budget allocation, especially in what is known as FSF funding, right? Fair student funding. Then you have the Galaxy allocations, budget summary, budget at a glance. So this is where you could get information. If you go to the school, the DOE's website, every school is there. It's a public space. So you could look at the budget at a glance, and you could drill down further to see how the funds are, the big categories in how the funds are allocated. So let's sort of see what that looks like. Next page. Yeah, next slide. So who decides how money is spent at the school level? Very, very important. And the answer is there. Our principals have a great deal of flexibility in deciding how the funding is spent, so that they can target it to student and community needs. So let's repeat that. So although we give the parents, principals are empowered to spend the money as they see fit, but there's accountability. What comes with responsibility, accountability comes with responsibility. So that usually there's a plan that the school puts forth, and it's, goes to the team, and then we sort of approve it. Principals, along with their school's leadership team, so the parents comes in, the SLT, they create school's comprehensive education plan, or the CP, based on school specific instructional needs and priorities. So no two schools have the same needs. So we look at the SLT, which is where the engagement of the community is involved, to come up with a plan and to have it funded. Then the principals work with the SLTs to create the school's budget to pay for the instructional program detailed in the CP. So the instructional program is a big chunk of all this spending. What is the role of the superintendents? They supervise the principals in this process, and they must approve all school budgets and their alignment with the school CP. So when the principals go with their plan, it's our responsibility. My responsibility is to look and make sure that they're aligned with their CP, to make sure it's a collaborative approach, and the funding, is really geared at what they said it should be geared at, improving students' outcomes, and to really flesh down. So that's my role as a superintendent, and also the superintendent's team look carefully at the budget. And so far, there's no issue with that. The principals are doing their very best in terms of isolating or targeting specific needs in the budget. So usually, without that, 99.9% it's a go, because they do exactly what is being asked of them as public servants. We have to be hold ourselves accountable, and others hold us accountable as well. So that's how the decision is made, through the principals to the SLT, to me, to my office as a superintendent. Then we approve the budget and the spending goes on. Next slide, please. So this is a big part to talk about. Before I talk about $477 million, fair student funding is the largest allocation, 75% of the budget. So what is FSF? It's the fair student funding, and how does it work? Proposed rates for the 25-26 school year. So this is what we'll be looking at right now in the preceding slides. Next slide, please. So what is fair student funding? It's the largest funding stream, as I said before, that is provided to schools, and it is based on the number of students enrolled in each school, plus the specific needs of those students, right? So you have students with different needs. The money is allocated based on those needs. Students' needs are weighted based on the cost of meeting a student's educational need. Example, academic needs, special education needs, very important. And schools get more money for students with greater needs. So the more, the particular needs of the child will sort of determine how much funding is allocated to that school. So again, no two schools are the same needs. So we do it according to the specific needs of the students. So FSF makes up about 2/3 of most K-12 New York City public school budgets. Other funding sources include federal funding streams, we're hoping, such as Title I is very, very important, Title III, IDEA, special education funding, or other targeted allocations for specific initiatives. So Title I, of course, based on the economic poverty, based on the economic index. So the poorer or the needier the district, then there's more money for Title I allocated funds. If the district is deemed to be like a well-to-do district, then the funding is limited there. And in our District 28, we have the best of both worlds. We have schools in the northern sides who are more like wealthy schools, and sometimes the money is not there, but that's how it goes. If the more needs, the more money for those schools to service the students. Charter schools, believe it or not, 3K pre-K, mandated individual education plan with the IEP special ed related services, and IEP paraprofessionals like speech teachers, OT occupation therapists, one-on-one paraprofessionals are funded separately. District 75 programs, many are in our district, and we welcome all students, everybody, no discrimination. The DC 75 programs are also funded separately, and funding is provided based on a class model, not a student per capita model like FSF. So again, just to recapitulate, FSS provides principals, schools, with substantial flexibility to tailor spending to school and community needs. The vast majority of the funds are spent on teachers. The funds can be used for guidance counselors, social workers, after-school programs, and classroom resources and materials. But just a word of caution that these funding are also restricted. It has to meet a certain bar to make sure that the school is qualified to be able to spend those funds. Like some schools have more restriction than others. Freeze in terms of what the school needs are. Then the SLT will come in and have a say again as to how those funds should be targeted. But at the center of all these funding sources are students' targeted needs. Let's look at the next slide. Next slide, please. All right, I think there's some Dr. All. All right, so this fair student funding, as I said, is a major pool of money, which the schools really need to really make it work. And all of those plans and in the CP must have to be aligned with the funding. So it's not just like spending money willy-nilly, but it has to be aligned with that. I think there's an issue with the share with our device. She was sharing for me. So until we get back the power track on point, it's very important for transparency around the budgeting. All right, so we talk about what is fair student funding. You can keep it going. Right, thanks. How does fair student funding work? So we said foundation, we said that already, collective bargaining, per capita number of times number of students and their needs equal fair student funding allocation. So foundation, all schools receive like $225,000 each. Collective bargaining pays for contractual increases for school staff, right? Like, different ages, years in the service, I mean. So different funds for that. Per capita, the dollar value of an FSS student weight is 1 of 1. This is updated every year to reflect any changes to the citywide average salary, teacher salary. Average teacher salary was approximately 4,254 this year. The number of students enrolled at each school and the specific needs of those students, such as pupil needs, are weighted based on the cost of meeting the educational needs of the school and the students. So we're going to see the next slide for the table of weights. So let's look on the next slide to see how this is weighted. All right, I'll just allow you to just take a glance at that. You see the different weights, like student in temporary housing, ELL, English language learners, or multiple language learners that are weighted differently. And you have special education, of course, low intensity, moderate intensity, less inclusive, more inclusive, post-IP transitional support. Everything is weighted based on those categories. And of course, the high school is also factored in there as an old District 28. So about the high school, we're K through 12 for District 28 in a community district, so we'll focus on that. And then concentration of needs will also determine whether it's a tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3, and it's weighted differently. Right there, so take a glance at it. We have for the English language learners, we have standalone English as a new language. We have the standalone English as a new language in 6 to 12, K to 5, and the different categories are weighted. Students with interrupted formal education, they call them side students, like students who are new arrival students who have been interrupted in their educational phase. We welcome everybody. Those students have to be weighted properly as well, so that they can catch up, so to speak, with our regular educational, goals and mission. Let's look at the next slide. So how is FSF weights work per student if the per capita were $1? So look, we'll take a look and see that the graphic is showing, right, 3.23. Because that student fit that category, then you have 2.66. So it's weighted different grade weights. It's factored in special education, the kids, language proficiency, academic intervention, the portfolio, that's for high school only, students in temporary housing, all of those. And we have that situation in our district where students with different categories. So we have to account for all of those. Thank you. So let's just take a look on that and see the graphics. So it is showing you that it doesn't matter. Those 3 kids enter the school maybe at the same time, but look at the different weights. One is from $3.03 to $3.23 at the high level, and in the middle you have a $2.66. So it's weighted differently based on the key at the right of my screen, my right, with grade weights all the way down to concentration of needs will determine the funding for each child. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Stuck again, Doctor. Right, so until this slide gets activated. So the basic takeaway is that no 2 schools will be allocated the same amount of dollar amount. It's based on the needs of the child, of each child in the school will determine the weights allocated.
No slide. Let me just, no slide. I'll let
Yes, and so you might be asking questions just until, like, why is it like Johnny goes to PSX and Martha goes to PXY? Why is it that they're able to do so many other things and we are not able to do it? There are different weights and categories and determinations. And I talk about the economic index will determine the Title I funding. The poorer the schools, that the economic situation, then the more funding for Title I funding. I know some schools like in the north side doing very well, but they still, the funding source is not enough because they have fewer Title I students or students up in poverty, right? Let's right, that's why I don't understand with that stuck, All right, so the purpose of this is just to provide some transparency. We'll be giving you the website so you could maybe do some further research to sort of be transparent and being informed about the process, how it works. Do we have members of our team? Is Brenda or Annie Peralta on the line, on the call, so they could answer some of the questions if any questions are been put forth?
I am here, Dr.
Oh,
Blake.
thank you. And you want to emphasize anything that I've said so far about, especially on fair student funding and the allocation?
I think you've done a great job thus far. I really don't have much to add on. The slides do give us a web page that everyone can use to sort of further enhance. And so if you do have any particular questions that are more specific, then I can try to address them as best I can. Or we can definitely circle back. So, but thus far, we are looking good.
Right. So thank you so much for your attention to details. We'll allocate and make sure that and advocate to make sure that District 28 is well represented, fiscally sound. So thank you so much to the community for your rapt attention. And of course, I'll be on to take further questions, and the budget team is here to also facilitate your questions. Thank you very much. Back to you, President Quintin.
Thank you, Dr. Superintendent Blake, for that thorough presentation. We do miss you here, and Annie Peralta, we do miss your attendance here, because I know this is usually an in-person conversation and presentation, and hopefully things align next time, because we were definitely planning on you guys being here in person.
Yes, sorry about that. I went to a meeting and it was difficult for
I'm
me to
about
travel.
to present our next presentation. And this presentation is going to be held by Dr. Shango Blake and Principal DeVernay, and it's the Black Studies curriculum. Are you prepared to present?
I am.
All right.
So I want to start by
And I
saying,
believe you have access to share screen.
yes, I do. So I want to start off by first thanking you, President Quintin, and the rest of the CEC of District 28 for inviting me to talk about something that I'm very proud about, a very historic moment, and that in our city as it relates to the Black Studies curriculum. I want to extend a warm greeting to Dr. Eric Blake, Superintendent of District 28. And, just so excited about some of the work that's happening here in this district. I heard it mentioned that there are 10 schools. We've been to one, and I'll talk about that. And I think that's why we're partnered here with Principal Duvernay. But I'd love to come see with the central office team from the New York City Public Schools, the other 9 schools in District 28. I'm going to share my screen. See, here we go. So I want to talk to you about the Black Studies curriculum, right? You see here, it says EEAPC, Black Studies Curriculum, New York City Public Schools, and what we've been doing around stakeholder engagement. So it gives me great excitement and pride to announce that the Black Studies curriculum was put together by the Education Equity Action Plan Coalition. That's what the Black Studies stands for. Is now available to all New York City public schools and to the community at large. So what you see here on this page is what the curriculum looks like when you go into the We Teach portal. And there is a QR code, and you'll see that QR code all throughout the presentation. At any time, you can scan the QR code and you can download the entire Black Studies curriculum and begin to, purview it for yourself. So what is the Education Equity Action Plan Coalition? It's a group of organizations, my organization being one of them, that came together and really lobbied the city council. Not this city council that's current, but the one that was in 2022. And we consist of Organizations like Eagle Academy Foundation, Black Education Research Center out of Columbia University, ABNY, the Association of Black Educators of New York, Eagle Academy, and United Way. And so, we came together to say we need Black Studies curriculum in our school. And I heard Dr. Eric Blake earlier talk about, how your district is a very diverse district. It's a mosaic of communities and cultures. And something that's been noticeably absent for years in New York City public schools and really in schools throughout the country is the inclusion of the Black experience. It's not been properly taught. It's been misrepresented. And so we sought to correct a historic wrong. We wanted to create a situation where our students would learn, their contributions of their people to not just America, but to the world. We wanted our children to learn about the diaspora and what Black immigrants brought to America. And this is not a curriculum that's just good for Black children. This is a curriculum that's good for all children because it allows other children to then open up about their culture and their experiences. And it allows for an exchange of cultures to happen in the classroom. And these are some of the things that I personally witnessed. So some of the places that we've been, we started off in 2 districts. One in Harlem was the first district that adopted the Black Studies curriculum, year 1 of our pilot, and then in District 29. And so I just have some pictures of some of the work that was happening in PS 132 and the work that was being championed by Superintendent Bonds, Dr. Crystal Bonds, and her team. We've also been to consortium high schools and outward bound high schools. We've been to alternative learning centers. We've been to schools that have 3K, pre-K, all the way up to 12th grade. This curriculum was piloted in year 2 when we had 16 districts. And we were able to go borough-wide, where we had an example of the Black Studies curriculum in all 5 boroughs. District 3 in Harlem is another one. District 16, and this was an important one because at this particular district, we were able to connect with our Black educators across the pond who was also putting forth a Black Studies curriculum. And this curriculum, so we started as a conversation about what they were doing as opposed to what we were doing, led to a transatlantic think tank where we talked about what was happening in places like Britain versus what was happening in New York City. And they actually came to New York City, District 16, under the leadership of Dr. Brandon Mims, and we were able to show them Black Studies curriculum live and in action. And they went back enthusiastic and excited. And as a result, we have a cadence of meetings and we share information between the educators in New York City and the educators in Britain. I wanted to talk to you about impact. Right now, what's happening across this country, we know that there's a push against all things CRSE, all things DEI, all things that deal with Black history and Black studies. Schools are being threatened with, we're going to take away your federal funding. We're going to dismantle the Department of Education. A lot of this is scare tactics designed to scare us away from doing the work that we're doing. There has been statements that have been made at town hall meetings in other parts of the country where they say that Black studies is harmful and is hurting. And that's not been my experience. I've seen joy. I've seen it improve teacher morale. I've seen excitement, enthusiasm from students and teachers from diverse backgrounds. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this clip. Just 2 things you're going to see. You're going to see the commitment of the chancellor, and you're going to see the commitment of our speaker, Adrian Adams, towards Black Studies curriculum and why they think that this is significant. But you're going to also get an opportunity to see the work itself, and highlighted in this particular video that I'm going to show is, you know, your district, District 28, and the work that you guys are doing. So kudos to you. And I had an opportunity to go with the lead advisor on disproportionality for the city of New York and the point person for the Black Studies curriculum, Michelle Patterson. And I was also with Dr. Benoit, and we had an opportunity to tour David N. Dinkins School, PS48. And when I tell you the level of excitement and enthusiasm that I saw was extremely contagious. And I know that the work that they're doing is absolutely impacting our children in a positive way. And like I said, I can't wait to see all the great work that's happening in the other schools. So I'm gonna go to the video. Give me 1 second. And I'm gonna ask you to do something after you see the video. Just put one word in the chat, right? That describes how this video made you feel.
Discussion of an ethnic curriculum until we get Black studies right. And as a Latina, a multiracial Latina who recognizes the great contributions that Black Americans have provided my community, it is imperative that I stand up and I acknowledge that and fight for my brothers and sisters. And it goes beyond recognizing. It goes beyond tolerance. I really dislike the word tolerance. I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to be tolerated. I want to be seen. I want to be loved. I want to be appreciated. And that's what we want for our children. And when people say Black studies is dangerous, I say your curriculum that talks about Black studies in the third person is dangerous. Because in this administration, we tell our own story. We are our own primary resources. We are our own advocates. We are our own validators. And no one is telling our stories but us.
We are going to march forward in the interest of educating our students who deserve nothing but the best from us. We in this room who realize who we are and where we came from, and the fact that this truth, these truths must be told across New York City and across this nation. We are intentionally putting this curriculum forward, sustaining this curriculum, preaching this curriculum, embodying this curriculum, carrying this curriculum, holding this curriculum, cherishing this curriculum, mothering this curriculum, parenting this curriculum, fostering this curriculum. From the very tops of our heads to the very soles of our feet, with everything that we have in us, breathing this curriculum.
I understand there might have been a issue with the sound, but even if you weren't able to hear it, I'm sure you were inspired by even those images of what we saw. And what I will do is I will send it to President Quinton so that you can actually like feel it, right? Because it was very an amazing situation. What I want to talk to you about is what I want to talk to you about is how we can make sure that this Black Studies curriculum um, stays within our schools. So we had a launch at York College last Friday. And what does the launch do? The launch is a signal that the Black Studies curriculum, it's New York City Public Schools declaration that this is something that's going to be happening in New York City schools. One of the things that we're currently involved in is making sure that we do a crosswalk between Black Studies curriculum and NYC reads, so that, you know, the literacy components and the social studies scope and sequence components that Dr. Blake talked about earlier are aligned. You know, we're not trying to make yet another job for teachers. And I think when you look at the actual Black Studies curriculum, even in its current form, they're always making the literacy connections in the specific subjects. So it was New York City school teachers that actually were involved in the writing of the curriculum. Why is that important? Because we understand that any idea can be great, right? But 90% of the time, the problem lies in implementation, right? How do you implement? And so instead of waiting to give a curriculum to teachers and saying, figure it out, we brought in teachers on every grade level to sit with us at the very beginning and help us really look at how do we craft the curriculum. So you'll find that it's not an additional burden for the teachers to teach the curriculum because it's actually structured in a way that is in alignment with the way they teach currently, in alignment with the scope and sequence of social studies, right? And now, currently, New York City schools are working on the crosswalk between NYC Reads and the Black Studies curriculum. And so you're going to start to hear information coming from Tweed and Central Office about how we're going to progress monitor this curriculum, how we're going to make sure that the implementation is rolled out with fidelity, right? What's important is for our community to stay active and stay vigilant. So for the parents that are on here, I have here some things that you should know about, what Black Studies curriculum does. We find, and the research bears us witness, that it improves engagement, it promotes belonging, it promotes critical thinking, and it promotes community involvement in our children as well as our teachers. There are different things, so apropos that I'm here on a night that you were discussing the budget, because there's entry points in terms of what schools and districts can do as it relates to the Black Studies curriculum, right? So one of the things that we say all the time that that parents can do is, for those of you who are involved in your school leadership team and you're involved in the CEP process, write the Black Studies curriculum into your goals, right? Because we know that the CEP is a living document, so you can constantly modify and look at and say, okay, are we meeting the mark? Are we not meeting the mark? What do we need to do? Think about the funding that you get if you're a Title I school, right? What kind of trips can you plan with the resources that you have? What kind of cultural institutions can you visit that support the learning within the context of the classroom? So these are entry points for schools to really come together in a collaborative way, in a shared decision-making way around the Black Studies curriculum. So for community members, for parents, I just wanted to let you know that you should be asking questions about the Black Studies curriculum. We all have to be held accountable to making sure that this happens. So what kind of homework is being assigned to your children? Not are you giving homework to the Black Studies curriculum, but what kind of homework? What kind of pre-assessments are you doing as it relates to what the students are learning? What kind of post-evaluations are you putting together? Parents and communities can really look at that. What kind of activities are happening in the school? What kind of after-school programs do you have that you can use the Black Studies curriculum? As I said earlier, the Black Studies curriculum is something that is not just available to all New York City schools, but it's available to the public at large. So you can think about like church group, community-based organizations. Anyone can download this curriculum today, right? And start utilizing it to teach Black Studies curriculum in after-school programs and what have you. Now, what I have here is the link, and you see this thing that says Click Matters. I would like you guys to scan the QR code and download the curriculum. Every time you download the curriculum, it sends a message, right, to people, even at the very top of New York City Public Schools, that people are interested and they're engaged. So I would say to you, not just download this curriculum, but send it to a friend and ask them to download it. Don't share it and then say, here's the curriculum. Tell them to download it, because those clicks matter. I'll close by saying this is very important moment in our city and in our nation, right? There are people who want to rewrite history. They want to revise history. They want to say that oppression was something that former slaves enjoyed. There's so much history that we don't know, right? And it's important for us to gain access to this knowledge, because, to be quite frank, I learned more about Black Studies when I was in college than I learned my entire school life. And when we don't have this information, it creates an imbalance for everybody in our society. It's not just harmful to the children who don't know about who they are, but it creates an imbalance. And there was a saying, I'm known as the nation's hip hop principal. So I'm gonna give you a saying from the great scholar KRS-One, who said that when one doesn't know about another one's culture, ignorance swoops down like a vulture. And so in this moment, we want to share information so that we can kill ignorance and we can grow our children into whole human beings. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that powerful presentation, Dr. Blake. And just want to remind everybody that we will be posting these presentations on our website. So you will be able to download the whole presentation, and please click the barcode to download the presentation so we could get the likes and the awareness out. And now I would like to bring up Principal Duvernay.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. The CEC and District 28. Thank you for having us. So I'm going to continue on the same flow as Dr. Blake spoke about and talk about the impact of the Black Studies curriculum within my school community, the David N. Dinkins School for Community Service. Tonight I have two of my, we formulated a Black Studies curriculum team during the implementation of spring 2024 when we were piloting at first. And I have two of my lead teachers that will support our discussion tonight about the impact of the Black Studies curriculum on my staff, scholars, and parents, and how everyone has collectively been a part of this implementation. As Dr. Blake spoke very clearly, it is clear to have a plan in how you're going to enter this work. And with entering this work, we really engaged the community through SLT, through our instructional leadership team, our ILT, to ensure that the fidelity of this work was present and that everyone felt accountable to it. And we really wanted to see the outcomes. We wanted to hear voices. We gathered data from informal data through conversations, just getting testimonials. You'll hear tonight from my staff who will be supporting this presentation. So I just wanted to bring that to the forefront and continue this conversation. Ms. Adams, you there?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. And also Ms. Lewis. Ms. Lewis, there?
Good evening, everyone. Good to be here.
Good evening. Good evening. So just to tell you for our agenda tonight, we'll speak about the implementation of the Black Studies curriculum and the purpose, then the Black Studies curriculum impact on staff, the Black Studies curriculum impact on scholars, the Black Studies curriculum impact on parents, and the challenges and solutions. So along the way, through any pilot or implementation, you want to look at what was successful and what needs refinement. And continue in that vein and make those necessary refinements so that we continue to make adequate progress in our implementation, right? So I wanted to begin with our school vision and our mission, as that is always the forefront of any school community, as it should be the guide. As the CEP is the guide, also the school vision and mission is very important. And our vision is that we build leaders who make change. It is in alignment with the name of our school, the David Dinkins School, who David Dinkins, former Mayor Dinkins, was a leader, truly. And he believed deeply in the community and community work. And so every thread, every piece that we have in our school, every stakeholder is also invested in sharing that vision of really cultivating our children through the daily mission to ensure that we make the change. So I just want to just highlight a part of our mission. We provide our scholars multiple opportunities. That's key. So to engage in rigorous standard aligned tasks, embedded social emotional learning that promotes critical thinking and problem solving in all subject areas. I want that to resonate. Think about that. Our staff is dedicated to successfully preparing scholars for college and career readiness in a safe and nurturing learning environment that is supported by parents, administrators, and community-based organizations. And so that thread is woven throughout, and our curriculum, our instructional programming must exemplify those key points on a daily basis. So I shared, you can go to the next slide. I shared the vision and mission of our school because it was crafted and refined by our stakeholders, staff, and parents to reflect our expectations for daily work with our scholars, and how that mission is grounded in social emotional learning, which improves self-awareness, and social skills, fostering critical thinking, and problem solving through cross-curricular instruction with project-based learning. The Black Studies curriculum was a lot of project-based learning that was cross-curricular. Okay. So I just want to say that, therefore, this helped our scholars to make connections to their learning through culturally responsive, sustaining educational strategies. That is still very much relevant. It is the framework of New York State, CRSE, as well as New York City has a framework for that. And the focus for that is so that children are making connections to the learning. They see themselves on those pages. So in that, we've made sure that we have a welcoming, affirming environment, high expectations, rigorous instruction, inclusive of curriculum, and ongoing professional learning, which my teachers will speak about. Implementing the Black Studies curriculum has affirmed our mission, engaging the diverse population of both staff and scholars. So during this presentation, you'll hear further from two leaders of the Black Studies curriculum's implementation, Ms. Adams and Ms. Lewis. And they will talk about the implementation regarding the impact on our staff and our scholars, and our parents. What I want to mention is that the curriculum has really brought a renewed joy to teaching, learning, and collaboration with staff, scholars, and parents. And one of during our culminating activity that we had with the connection from our passport curriculum, and the connections between that and the actual Black Studies. So whatever unit our teachers were teaching in passport social studies, the connection was the Black Studies curriculum that matched that. And our culminating activity really allowed our children to just get excited. They wanted to share their learning. They actually were calling us out from everywhere. Come see me, you missed me. Staff members were in the hallway discussing strategies and how some of our key strategies that we have for close reading were woven into the actual text that children engaged in through multiple genres, even poetry. So that was very key. And as Dr. Blake said, it brought joy. It brought joy to the school community. Our parents were excited. They were calling, can we come? Can we come? Parents were involved with the actual process of planning trips. Our executive board, very important. They've been a part of that. So the conversation, so we talk about implementation and really getting everyone excited. That is how you get them excited, is those conversations and making everyone a part of this work. So that is ultimately in terms of the overall purpose and just our implementation. We went full scale this year, as I'm stated, and I'm going to allow, I think we can go to the next, just to show you the curriculum framework. This is, as I said, this is in alignment with our passport social studies. So for first grade, I want to speak, first grade learns about families, the structures of families in passport social studies, and then they get a chance to learn about Black families and the structure and the dynamics of them and from long ago. So you see the connection that happens, okay? We have some of the pictures of our scholars. Again, it has led to tons of engagement, collaboration amongst our scholars, them learning how to organize presentations, research, reading, connecting their learning from HMH reading strategies within the curriculum. So it's very important for this to happen because it reinforces, and it also gave an appreciation for from other, as we said, we have a diverse community. It gave our other children just that were not of African descent, it gave them an appreciation and support of our scholars, and they were too excited about learning about the Black Studies curriculum through their various units of study. Okay. So I'm going to move on to my staff. I'm going to allow Ms. Adams and Ms.
So
Lewis.
once again, good evening, everyone. My name is Aziza Adams, and I'm a proud teacher at PS48. This is true. It's been an experience working with the Black Studies curriculum. I'll just say my own testimony with teaching social studies over the years. This has been more meaningful to implement in my classroom because I see representation of myself within the curriculum, but also learning that it's not just Black studies within America, but it's global. So with this curriculum, at first there was professional development given or offered a mindset readiness training that teachers were able to partake in at York College, our very own, and that was able to help us address what we were about to tackle, which was a curriculum that some people may feel comfortable with teaching, whereas others may have some biases, and we just have to make sure that we are aware of the biases that we might have and not to project them onto our students, because at the end of the day, our goal is to make sure that we are creating a culturally responsive education for our scholars, and we are telling them the truths and the facts that they should know and learn. So the PD was very informative and thorough, and that's something that I felt was very necessary before teaching this curriculum within the classroom. Also, the curriculum highlights grades pre-K through 12. Our school goes up to 5th grade. So of course, every grade level this year was able to implement the curriculum, and teachers were engaged in the curriculum, not all at first, as that's expected. However, once there was a dissection of the curriculum and there was understanding of what was expected, and actually the curriculum itself is very much explanatory as how it is that you can teach within your classroom. There was definitely more engagement with teachers as time progressed, and they became more comfortable with it. Also, teachers were able to connect the interests of their students. So for example, there was a class where students were interested in flying. So they were able to connect the Red Tails and Tuskegee Airmen, which is also connected to our community, which is a part of our community being Tuskegee Airmen Way, which is a part of the Black Studies curriculum, because you do learn about different Black communities. So therefore, the kids were able to make a connection to their own community, to what they're learning within the curriculum. There was also feedback or the opportunity to plan project-based learning. So the projects I'm laughing because as a teacher, it's a lot to create projects with your students. I commend parents who go home with your one child to create your projects, but to work with 32 students in our class. I have a 5th grade class ICT setting, which has Gen Ed, SWD, student with disabilities, and ENL students. It was a task, but they definitely enjoyed what you saw through the pictures. Those were our students, myself and my co-teacher, Miss Cadet, who were creating projects aligned to the Haitian cultural studies, which is what the 5th grade curriculum learned. And I just happened to be blessed enough that Miss Cadet, my co-teacher, is Haitian. So that was really something that she was able to take ownership of, and she felt a joy in teaching it because it was being able to teach her own culture and even bringing in food from her culture to distribute to our class and also the other classes when we had our Black History crawl, which you'll learn about a little bit later on. The curriculum itself is aligned to HMH. We definitely use our strategies, like Ms. Duvernay said, to help the kids dissect and understand the information that they were being taught. It's aligned to Passport, which is our social studies curriculum. And in addition, some teachers also use mathematics to include within their instruction and presentation of their projects, and they aligned it to the curriculum. So overall, the staff, not everyone at first, of course, was engaged, but throughout, after we had our Black History crawl, staff across all grade levels definitely showed up and showed out with their students, and they really took ownership of the curriculum. And I was very happy and proud of them and proud to have been a part of it. So here, even the video that you saw earlier from Dr. Blake was showing the Southeast Queens MBK, which is my brother's keeper and my sister's keeper. There was a Black Excellence event, which was at Beach Channel High School, I believe, in Far Rockaway. I have to say this is one of the most exciting trips that I have been on in a very long time. I have gone to conferences as an adult, as a teacher. This was a conference for students, and my students enjoyed it tremendously. It was 5th grade classes and 1st grade classes that were able to attend. They were socializing, and it didn't matter what background they were from. One of my ENL students, he was just so intrigued and engaged in all of the projects. He was very adamant about, okay, Miss Adams, I want to go and see everyone else. What they did, because this is really something that they weren't used to, they didn't even get to present as much as they wanted to. And they were a little upset with that because they were like, I practiced and I rehearsed and studied my lines, and they had cue cards and everything, and they weren't able to present as much as they wanted to. So that's also why it promoted us to have a Black History crawl at our school. But this was something they were able to engage with students of all different grade levels. And that was something that they really appreciated when they saw high school students and other grades. Now, I know scholars, Ms. Lewis is going to talk about the impact on scholars at PS48.
Hi, everyone. My name is Belinda Lewis. I am a 12 to 1-to-1 teacher at PS48, the David and Deacon School for Community Service. I am too a proud teacher of that school, and I've been there for some time. And the Black Studies Crawl was a way for us to really unravel and start to peel back those onions that the Black Studies curriculum offers. So there's a strong correlation between teacher engagement as well as student engagement. Something really magical happens when this takes place. Teacher engagement at our school around the Black Studies curriculum happened as soon as teachers downloaded the Black Studies. Now, I'm gonna be honest, there was some confusion around how we gonna align it to what we already doing in Passport. How are we going to do this for the Black Studies crawl? Yeah, we did a cookie crawl, but how are we going to now flip it into a Black Studies crawl? It was just so many questions that the staff had, that our teachers had. However, that confusion led teachers to gather together. They began to work during those teacher team times. They began to look at the curriculum. They began to look at some misconceptions that they had about Black people themselves. They began to look at the misconceptions that maybe some of our children may have, and they started to squash those misconceptions and really do some digging on their own besides what was already offered to us within the Black Studies curriculum. Basically, we were working out all of the kinks that was specifically to our particular grade, those particular lessons. During now the Black Studies curriculum, what it brought to our school was a sense of community, which we already had, but to do it around Black Studies was crazy and such a beautiful thing. It had collaboration of all teachers. It had a sense of belongingness. We started to appreciate not just our Blackness, but our diversity. Like the kids, we see that we have differences among us, but now they're able to appreciate the differences among us. And I felt that that was very important. I too was teaching 5th grade along with Miss Adams. She teaches ICT, and I have the 12 to 1-to-1 bunch. And so we were doing around Haiti and Toussaint Louverture.
Oh.
And the students were able to activate prior knowledge about and making connections between American slavery and the Haitian revolt. And we also learned about the tap taps that are in Haiti that I didn't even know about. That was like the most fun I think that we had. And the children were able to make their own tap taps, and they aligned it to what they learned about Haiti within the Black Studies curriculum. And one of the kids made one on Toussaint Louverture, and this is, by the way, is a student who is a former ENL. She's still an ENL student, but she doesn't have those support anymore because she done moved up. but she is a child who parents do not speak English at all. And she said in her writing, when they did their little writing compared to the tap tap that they created, she said that Toussaint Louverture was a hero. And she explained how he was a hero because he didn't just let the people who had the Haitians to be enslaved. She said, no. They said, we're going to do something about this. And with his leadership, all the other people who were enslaved felt comfortable to follow this man and revolt. And so I was so proud when Dr. Blake and Miss Patterson came to our school, and I wasn't in the classroom, and they were talking to my students, and they were able to articulate their own learning without their teacher being there. That is such a big deal as a teacher who teaches students with disabilities. And I mean, and the diverse disabilities classifications that are in my room. So during one of the lessons, also, and this is impact of children. Now, I said that teaching engagement and student engagement, they just go hand in hand. If one is low, the other one is low. So we have to make sure that our teacher engagement is just as high, so our student engagement can be just as high. So, but another testimonial is during one of my lessons with my students. He said, it was so funny because from a babe's mouth, he said, and I quote, "They've been lying to us all of this time. This is the truth." And I just said, what y'all think about it? And I just let them talk. I just let them go. And I just began to facilitate, make sure that, we were being respectful because they can get into their feelings. So just making sure that, everybody was respectful and that we stayed within what the purpose was. And that was to study about our tap taps and to learn about Haitian culture. So at the end of the crawl, and it was so cute to see them moving about. We need this. Do you have this? I need this. Miss Duvernay, just go in the closet. Just go in the closet. Whatever you need is in the closet. But it was so, because that's part of teacher engagement. Just being excited and to want to do this. And this was a project. This was a project that took half the day. And I'm going to tell you what the teacher's feedback was about that. Teachers were moving around the building, discussing plans, projects, standards. They were so excited about the students' work. The Black Studies Crawl was a kickoff to a school-wide initiative to push and showcase the Black Studies curriculum. The David N. Deacon School for Community Service is a direct mirror of District 28, just like Dr. Blake just said, our superintendent. We are a diverse school of race, religion, economic status, disabilities, and we got some gifted kids in there too. Please don't forget about them, because we got some high flyers in our building. After the crawl, teachers were a little disappointed because they couldn't crawl to each other's colleagues. That's the feedback. They want this thing to be an all-day extravaganza. And I think that that's something that we can definitely do, because we even had students was like, what do you mean it's over? Wait, I didn't go and see, if they were in 502, I didn't go see 501, or I didn't come down and see 591. That was a problem for them. So we have to make sure that we, for next year, that we make it an all-day thing so that everybody can see everybody's. if anybody is confused about, well, what is a crawl? So I don't know if anybody has ever gone out and you've gone from, you get on a bus and you go maybe from one pool party to another or from one bar to another. That's called a bar crawl or a pool party crawl. So I experienced that last year, and I was like, "Ooh, we should do something like this." So we in December we had a cookie crawl, and that was such a success because even in that it was course curricula being used, math was being used. Same thing here. We had to draw lines in order to draw those tap taps. And so at the end of it, I already thought, I was like, oh, we're going to do a Black Studies crawl. But Miss Duvernay comes into my room and we look at each other and we was like, Black Studies crawl. It was like almost at the same time. So as I was thinking this, she was across the hall thinking it too, because of the impact on a cookie. Imagine what the Black Studies crawl could do. And it did wonderful, wonderful things. So we know that moving forward, I know that it was success because they were disappointed because we couldn't do so much more. So the Black Studies curriculum allowed everyone to be fully engaged. Scholars were able to speak about their own truth, about their own work. Now, this wasn't a culminating activity. It was a jump off. Our culminating activity will take place on Juneteenth. So it's probably going to be on Juneteenth, unless it's on a Saturday, but everyone is definitely invited. Well, once again, we will lift and celebrate the Black Studies curriculum that is also aligned with our passport. We thank you so much for this opportunity, and I'm going to kick it back to Ms. Duvernay, who will end it. Thank you.
Ms. Duvernay, you're on mute.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding me, Ms. Adams. I just want to just highlight my teachers that are online. I'm so blessed to have them, and all my staff. Amazing. Just the collaboration and community that we have. I saw Dr. Benoit mention about Ms. Adams, who was a finalist in the Big Apple Teachers. Also, we applaud her last year. We also applaud Miss Lewis because she is a phenomenal teacher, 12 to 1-to-1 teacher who really moves the needle for our children. And once they come to her, it's like a whole nother another experience, because she really works to ensure that as they move on to middle school, often they are moving into either a ICT setting or even a being certified altogether. So I am just grateful for their work in this and helping us all to lift this body of work. And I just wanted to mention quickly, because we talked about impact of parents. I just
Ms. Duvernay, I'm sorry, just real quick. I didn't, I just wanted to really touch, you kind of did already, but I just want to talk about our PTA real quick, because they have been such an instrumental part of lifting up the Black Studies curriculum. And they come to our team meetings and they want to know what we're doing, and they plan trips for us. Like, that's one lift that we don't have to do. She really, Miss Cush, she really plans those trips. She fosters and because she wants us to see and feel the artifacts that we're talking about within the Black Studies curriculum. So I just really wanted to big up and really push and talk about our PTA.
Yes, and that's what I wanted to say as well. We thank our PTA executive board. Not only do we meet during SLT, but we also have meetings monthly. Myself and the other admin and other support sit with PTA, and we talk about the curriculum. We look at the curriculum, and we look at what trips that our children need to see the connection of what they're learning through their actual experience going there, right? So learning doesn't just have to take place in the classroom, when it's often just isolated to the classroom and they don't have the experience of going to that place to experience it. It's not really, that connection is not made. So I thank Miss Cush, because she actually, with this curriculum once presented, she took and supported us with second grade learning about the Harlem Renaissance, they went to the Louis Armstrong Museum. Okay. And then they came back with so much to tell me about Harlem and Louis Armstrong and being a Queens, coming to Queens and so forth. So, that was very important. And I just want to thank, I'm giving that feedback from the parents' perspective. We're going to go to the end now. Ms. Adams, thank you. Just really quickly, so challenges and solutions, as was mentioned, and this is just a summary, planning time to implement lessons. Our teachers do have common planning time 5 days a week, but we also have, our other curriculums and so forth, but we do make it possible for this to happen. But we definitely are looking at how can we have more time. Science and social studies Fridays. We make sure that that is happening, again, cross curricula, because we don't leave out reading, math, everything is embedded. So they're getting that experience, and projects are very important to our work. I have it, project-based learning. They want more time, as you heard, for presentations. Our children, our staff, everybody's calling more time, more time. So we're thinking about that as a refinement, and just what we felt was increased parent engagement in the planning of the activities to support the Black Studies curriculum. So it just brought an excitement, and we're going to continue, and we're going to look at not just this in this body of work in that way, but we're also looking at HMH envisions every aspect of the curriculum, because every stakeholder in our building should be involved. And that is how we're going to continue in our school to move the needle, as which we are doing in terms of our student outcomes, our scholars outcomes. So we thank you. If you have any questions, anything, I know we took a lot of time, but we just wanted you to really understand how our school community is lifting this work. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal DuVernay. Two powerful presentations. And if anyone has questions, please let us know in the chat. If it's particular for this presentation or these presentations, just let us know, raise your hand, and then we could call on you. Everyone else, we could just ask it at the open session where we have everyone speak in the order that they put their stuff. But thank you again, and please email us your presentations, because we would love to post these on our website, because we want to make sure all of our community has access to this information. And now I just want to give another chance for any elected officials. Please raise your hand so I can acknowledge you, and if you want to speak on who you're representing. Okay. All right. No elected. Oh. Was this? Oh no. Ari Innes, are you representing an elected official? Yes, right? Go ahead. Go ahead. You're free to speak, Ari. You having some trouble? Can't unmute. We unmuted you.
President Quinton, while you do that, I just wanted to let everyone know that we did drop the video in the link. So absolutely check that video out. I think it's very inspiring. And in addition, once you send me, I emailed you. Once you send me your email, I will make sure that you get the deck so that you can post them on your website.
And I just wanted to say one more thing. I just want to thank Dr. Blake, Superintendent, for choosing me as the Black Studies curriculum point last year, and allowing us as a school community to really unpack this work and see how far we can go. He really understands what our school community is and what it can be. And we thank you, Dr. Eric Blake, for allowing us to do this work. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Ari, were you saying something?
Yes, I can unmute now. Thank you. Sorry about that, everyone. Hello, good night. Ari Innes from the Office of State Senator Leroy Comrie. I'm the Deputy Chief of Staff based in the district office. The Senator sends his greetings. He's always eager to hear from CEC28, Superintendent's Office, and all the participants. If you should have any questions, please feel free to call the office. Questions or concerns, please feel free to call the office. I'll drop my information in the chat. It's 718-765-6359. And I just want to mention that we will be hosting a utility fair, which I'll also try to drop the flyer in the chat, on Thursday, March 13th. It will be in the afternoon. I believe it's from 3 to 7. So people will be able to attend who are getting off of work. Hopefully you can find childcare at that time. Anything else? We're also hosting for in-district constituents free tax preparation every Saturday. Just call the office. Once again, I'll drop the information in the chat. And thank you, everyone, and good night.
Thank you. And we have our Borough President's Office, Catherine Zapata.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I hope you're doing well. I have a couple of events to share with you all, but I'll definitely put all flyers and information in the chat box, and then I'll also send it to all respectively who's ever on my directory, and I'll make sure that Dorinda sends it too. We are hosting Holy and also known as Pagua celebration next Tuesday at Borough Hall from 6 to 8 p.m. We are, as well as a Irish Heritage event on March 26th at 6 p.m. I know that your next meeting will probably be after our April event, but we will have an Eid celebration on April 2nd. Definitely invite you all to join us. As always, please feel free to email me, and thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you for always attending our meetings as well. All right, I definitely want to give the superintendent's district office a chance to say anything. I didn't forget you guys. Dr. Hall, if you'd like to. Where are you? There you are.
Good evening, everyone. It's always a delight to be in community with our District 28 community and family. It's always a delight to be here with everyone. One thing I do want to say is the Black Studies curriculum is something that I saw a question in the chat. I think it was from Ms. Sobers asking about the how of the implementation. I know we were all very inspired by Dr. Shango Blake's presentation and Principal Duvernay's and her team's presentation. So I just want to respond to Ms. Sobers around implementation. So we don't have a district mandate about the how of the implementation. We are encouraging our schools to implement. The 10 schools that did implement, they selected grades they would begin the curriculum with. And in some cases, it was grades 2, 5, and 8. Right? 2nd, 5th, and 8th grade. So we're giving the principals the autonomy to determine how they will implement, but we are encouraging all of our schools to begin the implementation process. As we continue on and we garner more information as a district, we'll determine and build a think tank with our principals. We'll determine how we'll move forward in terms of a unified approach. But at this time, principals have the autonomy to determine. All right. And then I just wanted to share, so I know Venus is here, and every single month, Venus asks us about the data, right? And we had the FSF presentation that we had to present tonight. So Venus, thank you for always holding us to the data. So just one piece I want to share with us around iReady is we improved from BOY to MOY by 14% in both reading and math. So we continue to move the needle in terms of our ELA and math performance. So in ELA, in reading, we went from 29% on or above level to now 43% on or above level. And in math, from 20% on or above level. Again, that was the BOY, and students were tested on content that they hadn't yet seen, right? And then to now 34% on or above level district-wide. And what we're doing as a team is that our district achievement instructional specialists are mining the data. Our principals are mining the data with their teams. And then our district achievement instructional specialists are going into our schools and having conversations around the data with the principals and their teams so that we can ensure that we respond to the data and there's a response with intervention at all tiers. All right, so I just want to share that with all of us tonight. And President Quentin and our CEC, I just want to thank you all for an opportunity to share with our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hall.
You know
And
what? I just
Dr.
wanted to say something
Benoit.
Well said. Before we go to Benoit, I just wanted to say she's right in terms of how we're looking at progress monitoring and implementation. I'm just going to let you know that when we have a launch, the purpose of the launch is to make the announcement and then to build in infrastructures and support. So the launch happened last Friday. I can tell you that this Chancellor, Chancellor Melissa Villes Ramos, is really prioritizing the Black Studies curriculum. So what does that mean? You're going to hear, it hasn't come to the district offices as of yet, but the districts are going to get direction in terms of establishing a point person in every district that leads the Black. I'm giving you the heads up now, so just so you know it's coming, so that each district will have a point person for the Black Studies curriculum, and then they'll start to look at how, you know, it gets prioritized, how it is monitored, and how it's implemented. One key thing that we all need to understand, by law, no school district can mandate a curriculum. But hold on. The people can always mandate the curriculum. So what gets prioritized gets respected. What gets inspected gets respected. So if you have from the top that they're looking at the Black Studies curriculum the same way that it happened with NYC Reads, then you'll begin to see traction and motion in every school and in every district. So what's important to our community stakeholders, I think Ms. Sober asked this question, it is important to continue to ask questions like you're asking because they're critically important. And don't just ask them at the district office, ask them citywide. When you have an opportunity to be in citywide forums, what is the progress monitoring components that are being put forth as it relates to the Black Studies curriculum? And you have an example in NYC Reads. So what's the example for Black Studies curriculum?
I just wanted to add on real quick, Dr. Shango Blake. When we were at that expo or the conference that we had at the Roy Wilkins Black Spectrum, the chancellor she was so moved by the Black Studies curriculum that I remember her stating that she's even looking at a Latino curriculum moving forward. So she's definitely on board with the Black Studies.
I wonder if there's, thank you so much for the presentation. This wonderful work that you guys are doing. My questions about the how is like, I like to think of what's the next step? How do we actually get it into? So that's the reason why I wanted to know. So for example, if a principal is interested, does she simply download it and then begin, or do they contact someone? Like what's the next step for that particular school?
Well, the principal can most definitely download and begin the work. And I think you'll find that the curriculum is very user-friendly. And it's, teachers can unpack it, like Ms. Lewis said, and you can make it your own. Remember, curriculum is just a guide. It's not a scripted, situation. Although there are some scripted lessons, you can deviate from those lessons and kind of build it out to match the culture of your school. So that's one. There is currently right now some trainings that are available through Columbia University, and I'll get that to you, President Quentin, where schools can sign up and go through some professional learnings around the curriculum, both the curriculum itself and the mindset readiness component, which I think was lifted by Ms. Lewis, but that's a critically important piece because we want to, especially when it comes to the touchy parts of the curriculum, we want to teach the curriculum, but do no harm in the process. And we have seen people who I believe were well-meaning, but did some crazy stuff, in terms of trying to teach Black history. And so we want to avoid that. And that's where we get into the mindset readiness. We get into the bias. We unpack unconscious bias, all based around the curriculum. So those are the two things that are available right now. Also, I'm the spokesperson for the EEAPC. I do visit schools. I do bring my colleague, Michelle Patterson, who's the point person for the Black Studies curriculum, and we can give like real critical feedback, and meet with, schools or their teacher teams or their instructional leadership teams around like how they can, improve it. So there's definitely resources that are happening as we speak, but there's going to be a greater push and a greater professional learning piece being pushed out from central office to all the districts.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And I want to give Dr. Benoit.
Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, President Mesitin. Yes, indeed. It was a great presentation, but also as someone who participated in the crawl last week, I'll say it was really, really inspiring to see, our young scholars just embrace the learning, embrace the fun that's in it. You didn't hear the music, but there was definitely some jiving in the Harlem Renaissance classrooms. So again, thank you to Dr. Shango Blake and to Principal Duvernay and Miss Adams and Miss Lewis, for the work that they do and lead, in this great 28. And speaking of 48, next week, yes, they are launching their UFT Teacher Center, which we are so, so happy about. And tomorrow, PS54 is launching its UFT Teacher Center. And I will say that that'll be number 6 for us in 2 years. And I'm sure Bruce is here and he'll talk about the importance of teacher centers, but they are places in schools, within school buildings, that really support. It's an additional resource for educators. And we truly believe in building the capacity of our teachers, so that they are truly effective, highly effective, and are able to do their best, with our scholars. So we cherish our partnership with the UFT. We're looking forward to all these launches. I think we have one more school again this year. We're just so appreciative of all of the partnerships that we have. So thank you again, and always happy to be in community here with all the stakeholders in the Great 28.
Thank you. The good news just keeps coming. All right. I want to give an opportunity for our principals. We have our principal, Robin Signal. Would you like to give greetings? Where's she at?
Hello, it's been a long, long day. Hello, everybody. I'm just here, just enjoying this meeting. Thank you for the wonderful presentation, Dr. Shango Blake. Hello, everyone, on behalf of PS 140 Ellington Magnet. This is wonderful for us to all come together and learn something tonight. So I appreciate everybody. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you. And my apologies. Sonia, would you like to bring some greetings as well?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I don't know about my camera, if it's working, but good evening, everyone. Just a couple of quick updates. First of all, at the request of the CEC, last month, we were able to put together a district-wide Know Your Rights session that we held the 26th of February. It was, very informative, and we're very excited to have community members attend, even though it was kind of last minute, we were able to put it together. We also have had schools that have continued to host different sessions to support our immigrant families. I also wanted to give a quick reminder about our candidate forums. District 28 actually has 38 applications for CEC. And that number went up very quickly. So we're very excited and proud to have so many, stakeholders that are interested in applying for this, very important leadership position. And so the next step is to attend a candidate forum, which will be on March 13th via Zoom. I know someone asked me before, why is it via Zoom? We don't host it. We don't have anything really to do with that other than receive the information, but it'll be via Zoom, March 13th from 6 to 9 p.m. I put the information in the chat. In addition, the link so that you could read the profiles for all your candidates. You'll be voting, and so you'll be able to get the opportunity to read ahead of time, but also to attend our candidate forum. And so that's it for me on this note. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much, Sonia. And next, I would like to give Principal Hanley a chance to send her greetings.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Happy March. So nice to be here. A very busy day. We had parent-teacher conferences today. We were preparing for our UFT Teacher Center grand opening tomorrow, like Dr. Benoit said. We just launched our You Gotta Read program. We partner with the New York Mets. Students read for 6 weeks and they're able to earn all different prizes. And at the end, they get tickets to a Mets game where they can attend with their family. So we're busy. We're also going over our iReady data with our teachers. Teachers are going over it with the parents today, and we're restructuring our RTI groups based on the data. So lots happening. The year is flying by, but good to be here.
Thank you. It is flying by, isn't it? All right. And I want to just personally thank all the parent coordinators and community boards who are attending. And I know we have our PEP representative, Adriana, and our UFT representative, Bruce. Always appreciate you guys for showing up and fighting for us strong. For now, I also want to take this time to have our 3 newest members introduce themselves. They could take a minute because we're still trying to get out of here a little early. But please, let's start with Jennifer Sobers, who already kind of showed up asking some questions. Please introduce yourself and congratulations for being one of our newest members to our council.
Thanks, Quentin. Hello, everyone. Good night. I am Jennifer Sobers. I am thrilled to be part of this wonderful council. Today, when I got in, it was sort of like meeting people, superstars you see on television, because I always see them on Zoom and I admire them. So I'm really looking forward to serving out the remainder of this year with the council and doing some great work for our great District 28. Thank you.
And our next newest council member, Arzu. Are you able to speak?
Yes. My apology, technical difficulty. My apology not being in person. I actually was flying from Palm Springs and I got stuck getting in last night. So it threw us off a little bit. I'm looking forward to working with everybody and meeting everyone in person next month. And that's it. And it's been a long 2 days.
All right. Nice to have you here. Thank you. And our one and our first and long time high school member, Jada.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jada Crawford. I am a senior at Queens Gateway to Health Sciences Secondary School, and I'm just really grateful to have this opportunity to work with CEC District, the District Council, and everything that they've done for Queens South High schools and New York City schools in general. And I just like to give a personal shout out to you, Mr. Quentin, and Ms. Sharnette Walters, who also works for the district and oversees a lot of the New York City schools and the operations surrounding them. And I'm just really grateful for this opportunity and to continue to work and represent my community. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jada. Tearing up on this one. But all right, so now we're gonna go to our public comment. And oh no, we're going to our council member reports. So please, Natifa, could you go down the roll call? And I just want to say on record, we do have quorum. We started without quorum, but then our council members were running late, came in. So we are at full quorum, as always.
All right, good evening, everyone, and my apologies for being one of those members who are running late. President Meston, do you want to go first, or do you, or you've already, okay. First Vice President, Lauren Clavin. Lauren is online. Is
I'm
Lauren
gonna
able to
try.
unmute? Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Forgive my voice. I had a dental procedure today. I'll try to keep it brief. I feel like that presentation from Dr. Blake and Miss Adams and Principal DuVernay and Miss Lewis was everything we need right now for anyone who is despairing over the state of our government right now and the implications for public education. It's scary, but we're going to keep doing what we do. And these incredible teachers and the students we saw have really, really inspired me to keep pushing. And it's worth fighting for. Obviously, our kids deserve our best, and we have the best. I'm really, really grateful that this happened tonight in this moment, as we're hearing that the Federal Department of Education might be shut down. And on that note, and for anyone who might feel like this is political, public education is political, and we need to be demanding of our elected leaders to do more than they're doing right now. I saw quickly, there's some things that you can do, because our leaders right now have an executive order ready to go that might dismantle the Department of Education. If you don't know what that might do, if your child has an IEP or a 504, it could go away. In the beginning, you saw Dr. Blake talk about our funding structures. $2 billion might not seem like a lot, but it makes a huge difference in our system. Every single cent counts. $2 billion of federal funding is the difference between your kid having an after-school program or a sports program or a Black Studies curriculum, and the training that these teachers need to implement all these incredible things that we have going for us. So listen, I was in a meeting with Grace Meng. She's your congressional representative if you live on the north side of Union Turnpike in District 28. If you live below that dividing line, your representative is Meeks. Give them a call. What Grace Meng said to me is they're relying on their constituents right now to know what to prioritize. This is something that's so important. If you're here in this meeting, it matters to you. It matters to all of us. If you're intimidated about making a phone call, wait until after hours and get on the phone and leave a message and just say you need to be paying attention to the Department of Education. And that matters because you want to keep your job, right? So it's very simple. Again, this is not partisan. This is about our kids. Contact your representatives. I'm going to put a phone number in the chat. If you've never done this before, I promise you, it's so easy. Just say, this is what I care about right now. This is what we need to be paying attention to. Please do what you need to do to save the Department of Education. I will put the phone number where you can just call the House of Representatives. You can also call your senators. You tell them where you live and they'll direct you to your representative. But it's either Meeks or Meng if you live in this area. I'm going to stop there. Thank you so much for showing up. I appreciate every single one of you on this call.
Thank you, Lauren. Second Vice President Utah Chen.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Happy March. Happy birthday to our fellow, to our wonderful Dorinda and Simone. I don't have too much to report, but I just want to acknowledge that the fact that we have high school with admission results coming out today, and congratulations to the kids who got their first offer. And for the kids who haven't, there's still hope. The waiting list can be long, but last year I had heard a lot of stories. But kids just got into their first choice eventually after the waiting list cleared up. Just be patient. Hopefully something will happen. Is that we had a great special education committee first ever meeting, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just do something like what I did last time on the school lunch feedback. I'm gonna come up with a feedback form for the parents to give us feedback, and so that we can relate to the rest of the departments and the people who are in charge of special education programs. Yeah, that's it from me. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Yutal. Yes, next is me, Recording Secretary Natifa Lewis. So Utah stole the first part of my announcement related to high school. But in general, I join others in saying congratulations again to Dr. Blake, Principal Duvernay, et cetera, in the presentations related to the Black Studies curriculum. It's been, as I said, 2 years or so for it. And I think, even more now more than ever, it's important that we make sure that while certain normal words such as Black are being demonized and whatnot, that we make sure that at least for New York City public schools, we continue to have diverse views, support students of all backgrounds, et cetera. Principal Duvernay, I have not been able to attend SLT meetings for this year, but I did get Ms. Adams' notice, and I'm hoping to virtually join this Monday. So it would be good to continue that conversation there. In general, other than that, I do not have that much to report, just in terms of some of a lot of the questions that I had been hearing were in terms of selection. So I know, as I said, high school applications came out today. Middle school applications come out, I think in about not applications, sorry, but offers come out in about a month. So I know a lot of questions have sometimes come out in terms of that, in terms of all of those what are the options? How do you change it if you don't like your offers or so forth? So, parents, please continue to reach out your questions, any questions that are directed to the CEC28 at schools.nyc.gov mailbox. is normally forwarded to the person who is best able to work with it. Okay, so going down the list, Treasurer Tanya went. Tanya's on, right? Tanya's absent. Member, so just go down the list. Member Julissa. Oh, Julie did send a note that she's unable to make a verbal report today, so we'll follow up with Julie after. Member Luzao.
Good evening, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the presentation of the on the Black history. I think this is very important, and we should talk to all the school and liaison, the liaison schools, and to recommend all the schools pick up the pace on this implementation. Also thank that Blake the presentation on the budget spending. One issue, and recently I just read actually today there's a report, there's some research done statewide, not just city, New York State, on the chronicle absenteeism. The New York City have 1/3 of students classified as a chronicle absentee. This is a big issue, right? So now this issue is very interesting because last year I have been reached out to by many parents in my neighborhood community, and they asked me, what happens if their kids absent too much, because some of them got, some school reach out to them, this thing maybe later we can have a ask the Blake to give us a little more details. So not sure if the school under some kind of a pressure when there's kids chronicle absent. But apparently they do take it pretty seriously, reach out to the family, everything. Then they were a little bit of panic and asked me, what to do. They think, maybe there are some consequences to the family or something. My answer is, like for the children themselves, there's pretty much no penalty to speak of, right? And those situations actually mostly are legit. The last year there was a crazy, there was a few transmittable disease going on. There are kids, they're taking off like week here, week there. It only take you 20 days. I think 18 days to classify as a chronicle absentee. So for some young kids with weak immune system, like my daughter is kind of like that. She didn't reach that level, but kind of close, like more than 10 days for sure. So there are legit cases that, they missed school. But there are also cases that probably directly result in academic and behavior issues to the student, right? So I think, in the future, I would like to see more data. For example, I think they can, like list the students who were classified as absentee versus their, for example, their grade level. Are they at grade level, exceeding grade level, or fall behind? So then we have a good picture, how many of those students actually impacted by this issue, right? So the absent, chronicle absent, and because of that, they are feeling, their academic or even worse, have behavior issues, get involved with, bad stuff, especially for older kids. So we can have a better, picture on that. because a lot of times the parents don't know this. They feel, you know, like, should we send the kids to school even they got sick? I always told them, no, don't do that. There's no penalty whatsoever to the kids themselves or to the family. It's more on the, you know, school, they need to, you know, this is a number crunching thing, right? So I think we need to crunch the number a little bit careful or a little bit in detail and separate the legit absentee from the issues we have. And another thing is I think recently, you know, the rising, what do you call it, the rising star? What, no, right? Rising, this is called Rising, right? The summer school program, right? The Summer Rising. Oh, but yeah, I mean that Summer Rising program is very important in my opinion. That keeps students in school, right? So I think Chancellor Banks used to, you know, the former Chancellor Banks used to talk about this. I think I kind of agree with him. You know, the summer break is kind of a really old-fashioned thing. You know, in the old time, you know, kids go home to help their parents to, you know, on the field or something, right? So the whole summer, 3 months, and for a lot of families, there are no means for them to take care of their children because they have to go to work and they either have to pay somebody to do this or they, you know, so it's a very, you know, difficult situation. I think IEP students have a priority or guaranteed summer resting spot, right? I'm not very sure. I know they at least they have a priority, but I think it should be extended to more students that with issues and family, you know, income, all those things into consideration. Basically, should extend the opportunity to more people. This is similar to the absentee issue, right? So we want to keep students in school. So even, you know, you know, academic or other activity, you keep them out of trouble, basically. So this is a very important issue. I think, you know, we should pay attention to. And last, I want to, you know, mention congratulations the math team in PS not PS Russell Sage. I think they ranked #2 in Queens, and they went into state final. And also thanks my good friend Donghui Zhang that then have hosted this team for many years, even though his own kids have, you know, graduated and left the school a long time ago. I think both kids were, one of the kids already graduated from college, another just into college. So this is true, you know, community spirit. He's doing that for many years. The reason I think that's what I heard. I haven't confirmed, but the reason behind this is because if you hold in the school, there's a lot of costs involved, right? So if you so for actual you know, work, they need to they need to find a different place and for the budgeting issue. So Donghui have hosted it for many years, and including this year, and they have a celebration at his home. So, you know, that's great work. You know, I want to just, you know, give them a shout out. Okay, thank you.
Member GK Kalyanara, right next to me.
Okay, thank you.
Unmuted. Oh,
Yeah, I'm on. Okay, thank you. Good evening. I have been in touch with my liaison schools, 4 of them. I've attended some of the SLTs and nothing dramatic to report on. I'll be attending one tomorrow morning virtually, 174. All is well. I would just want to add to everyone's comments, congratulations on the initiation, you know, on the design of the Black Studies curriculum and the launch of that. Best wishes. And that's all. Thank you. Good night.
Member Paquita Williams.
Hi, good evening, all. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hi, good evening, all. First, I want to, welcome Miss Jennifer, Miss Jada, and Miss Azu. I don't recall the second student, if there was a second student, but if you're there, welcome also. I want to first thank everyone for the presentation. It was very informative. It's exciting. So let's see where it goes. So fingers crossed. I don't really have anything too much from PS 99 or 196. I briefly spoke with PS 80, and to Dr. Blake, they wanted me to say, when I say they, I want to say Principal McShane, AP Johnson, Parent Coordinator Valerie Bird. They wanted me to tell you thank you from the bottom of their hearts for the free after school program. They've been fighting for a very long time. And basically, that's the end of my report. Hopefully, I'll have an opportunity to visit my other two schools, 99 and 196. I'm going to reach out. So let me see. That being said, I want to say thank you and good night for me.
All right, thank you. Member Simone Dunbar.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to try to keep it short. Lauren, thank you so much for your important words. I think this is the time where, when we look at history, right now we are at a point where we can still protest, where we can still voice our opinion, where we can still do something. So this is the time to do something. And please follow up with your representative to make sure that our kids get to be educated. Lauren, I had the honor and privilege to attend a meeting with the Queen's Borough president and also other appointees. It was a really wonderful time we had. We got to share our experiences in our districts. We also got to highlight things that we feel need to be worked on. We got a very warm reception. The borough president is really interested in helping schools and making sure that they get the funding they need. And so my thank you to Kat Zapata, who organized that and who always has an open ear to all of the issues that we bring up. And it's good to know, especially in times like this, that there are people out there who are really caring about our kids. I also I attended two of my three partner schools SLTs, and I want to give a shout out to Junior High School 190, Russell Sage. One of the things that I really appreciate about the SLT meeting is that they make room for 90 minutes where parents can really engage in discussions together with the principal and the teacher SLT members. I love that they are very transparent and they show the budget, for example, without being asked. I know that there are some schools where parents have to ask to be shown the budget, but the principal is very open about it, so parents can ask questions and get clarifications and just can inform themselves about it. in pretty much every meeting, they show data about test results, and they're very, very open, very transparent. And I think that is a good example of how an SLT can work with parents together. And lastly, I want to say thank you to Dr. Blake and Principal Duvernay and the teachers for implementing this really important Black Studies curriculum here in District 28. You're a role model to our schools. I hope that many other schools are going to follow your footsteps and implement this. This is the perfect time to be insisting that our children deserve the best education, and they deserve to know about Black history and any other Black educational content. So thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you, Simone. And Jennifer Sobers. Jennifer? Do you, well, I mean, if you want to just give them an additional greeting about yourself.
Hi, I'm looking forward to if there's the possibility to partner with schools for the rest of the CEC term. Looking forward to doing that. And being able to be a voice for the schools and for parents and other constituents. I have admired that this council is outspoken, and I feel as though the council tries to listen to what people are saying and the concerns. So I expect to follow suit and to be another voice for all of our stakeholders here in District 28. And so perhaps next month I'll have something to report.
All right, thank you, Jennifer, and thank you for jumping straight in earlier. And last but not least, Arizu Tamerchi. Oh, I'm sorry, not last, but Arizu. Can you unmute?
Okay.
You should be able to
I'm
talk.
trouble unmuting. My apology. I'm looking forward to like making some partnering, maybe if there's an opportunity with someone to look at the schools. And really expanding on the after school program. I have been hearing other schools have the after school program, and so it's very selective of which school, and it requires a lot of advocacy to get them, to make it available for some parents that can't afford. It would be fantastic, and they're a great enrichment for the students. So I'm looking forward to if I can partner with someone, or if I can get assigned a school for there's not that much left of the school year. So hopefully, can participate in that.
All right, thank you. And now, last but not least, Jada Crawford.
Oh, yes. So I'm a representative of high school students for the district schools. And even though I'm a senior, which means I'll be aging out of the New York City public education system at the end of the school year, I actually want to go into education as my major. So I'm still really invested in what's happening in terms of New York City policy. And I was actually really happy when Miss Lauren brought up the attacks that are happening on the Department of Education federally right now, because that has really been personally worrying me as a student and a future college student next year. So I'll be hopefully willing to represent students and young people in terms of that.
All right. Thank you. And President Messer.
Okay. Before I give my quick speech, because I definitely want to pay attention to time, we have one guest that came here this evening that signed up on our speaker sheet, and I want to personally apologize, but I want to give her an opportunity to speak. So please just got to come up to the computer. Mrs. Trissaline LaRose.
So you're starting public comments because she's part of public
Oh,
comments?
your public comments. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
You could go.
You go first.
Yeah, you could go. You could go. So go ahead. Got you.
Right here.
Yeah, right here, right here.
You just go today between bullets.
Hi, I'm Tristan LaRose. Like was said, I had 3 grandchildren in PS 312 Jamaica Children's Magnet School. They've done a phenomenal job so far. And I'm happy that my first grandchild got accepted in his first choice in high school. I'm happy about that. But my granddaughter, she's in the 3rd grade, and she's supposed to be taking a test soon. I understand that they have to use a computer to do the test. I mean, I know this is the age of technology and the children have to learn, but sometimes some children are challenged with the use of the computer, even though they practice at home or in school. So I was asking, this any way in which some children can be given the choice either to use the computer or paper and pencil. And I want to thank you. I'm also a retired teacher, and I'm so happy that I can get involved in the education of children. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. LaRose.
Thank you. And I just want to say happy St. Patrick's Day and Holy for those who celebrate it. It's this month. And yeah, no. The council did a phenomenal job. I'm liaison for 161, 175, 206, and 680, which is Queens Gateway. Very proud liaison. And I'm looking forward to all the positive things that we're doing in our district. And I want to continue our meeting and get into the public comment because I'm looking at the time. So now go to the public comment section.
We are in public comment.
Yes. Got that list. All right. So first we have Hannah Leverance.
Hi, everyone. I'm here tonight coming from the New York City Independent Budget Office. So we are a budget office that oversees all city spending. I'm going to drop my email in the chat in case any of you have questions about the Department of Education budget. I know a lot of you voiced concerns about, federal changes, and those are all things that we're tracking. So if you have any questions about that, we are tracking those things and we are available for any of the questions that you have. But tonight I'm specifically coming to you to talk to you about a new high school city budget module that we launched. It is a free resource that we are launching across the city. So we've been to a couple high schools around the Bronx, around Manhattan already. We have not been to Queens yet, so I'm really excited to pitch this to you guys. But it is a 2-day module for high school students. So students in 9th to 12th grade, and we focus on teaching students about the city budget as well as some of the actors that are involved. So they'll learn about what city council is, they'll learn about the mayor and their impact in the budget, and they'll learn about how much New York City spends and what we spend the money on. We already have launched it at a couple schools and gotten really good feedback, but again, as you saw with the FSF presentation, the city budget is so complicated. And we want to make sure that starting from a really early age, people have an understanding of how the city budget works and who to reach out to in their district if they want to make an impact in the city budget, which, people can do. You can go to a city council hearing and voice your concerns and even get in front of the mayor if you want to. But that is not something everyone is aware of. But I'm going to put the details in my email in the chat in case any principals or any parents are interested in having us come to the high school. we've had, again, really positive feedback so far, but we're looking to expand this program. So if anyone wants to reach out to me to hear more about this or potentially have us come to your school, we're really excited about this, and I look forward to hearing from you all.
Thank you, Hannah. And I want to give an opportunity for the district, Dr. Hall, if you want to respond to Trissaline LaRose. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hello. Yes, so Ms. Rose, President Mezzanton was at the request to respond to Ms. Rose. Okay, so before I respond to Ms. Rose, I drafted it in the chat and I pulled it back because I wanted to fact check. Interesting fact, Ms. Rose was my early childhood teacher 40 years ago. I heard the name Trissaline Rose, and then I heard the voice, and I said, oh my God. I called my mother. I said, Mom, I think we called her Sister Trissaline in the school that I grew up in. So Ms. Rose, I'm so honored to be able to share with you today and to be able to support you and your granddaughter, as I would any student in District 28, but you hold a very special place in my heart as my early childhood teacher at Full Gospel Assembly Children's School. So Chanel Holder, that's my maiden name, Holder. So does she remember me? Where is she? She does? Oh, yes, Trissaline.
My goodness.
I know, right?
Wow. I'm so happy. I'm glad I stayed. I was about to leave.
Yeah. I had to fact check. I said, wait, let me make sure. So, Sister Trissaline, in response to your question, well, first of all, what grade is your grandchild in, your granddaughter in?
She's in the 3rd grade.
The 3rd grade. So
Yeah.
the third graders the school leaders do decide if they want the students to test electronically or paper and pencil. And it's a school-wide decision. It's not student by student. But let's find out which school does the child go to, and then we'll know whether or not the decision has already been made for paper to pencil for 3rd grade or electronic testing for 3rd grade. So which school does your grandchild attend?
She is in Jamaica Children's Magnet School.
Oh, okay. So let me follow up with Principal Cespedes just to get an idea of what has already been determined and decided for the 3rd grade students, and what's already been messaged to all of the families, so that we can find out what's possible and how we can support your granddaughter, so that if she does have to take the test electronically, that she's best supported and able to be able to do it successfully.
Okay, thank you so much.
You are welcome, Sister Trissaline. All right, so I'm gonna put my email address in the chat as we do every month, and please, can someone just give it to her so we can stay connected? All right.
Thank you.
Yes,
That's so nice, Dr. Hall, connecting.
That was powerful. Look at all the hearts and the love in the chat. We weren't expecting that, but wow. Okay. Now, the impact. Okay, now the next on the list is Jessica Zelo.
Hi, sorry, I couldn't get unmuted. It's nice to see everybody. Happy March. I'm here today to yet again speak about summarizing and the lack of programming once again for now it's middle school So last year we did have 2 middle school programs. I believe one was at Halsey and one was at Queens Metro. So thank you to Queens Metro for hosting the program. But yet again, the Summer Rising application process was a debacle because Russell Sage is showing that both Halsey and Russell Sage are at the same location. And there's again a lack of opportunity for kids to apply and to be able to get a seat. So the system said it would be open on March 4th, but it wasn't open until later in the day. So the DOE should be specific about the timing. And again, just the lack of programming again on this side of the district is a little bit abysmal. And if I wasn't so knowledgeable about how this worked, I would not understand or have the context to get correct information. So thank you for those that have been helping me with this. It was very hard to figure out what to do and where to apply. And thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Jessica. And you were within time. Our next speaker is Venus. We already got a couple shout outs. Venus.
I'm here. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. Number one, I'm passionate about prioritizing parent voice. I think I gave everybody homework 2 or 3 months ago to check out other CECs throughout Queens so that we all Queens school districts can come together as one borough and share best practices. Something that I brought up in District 30 that I've been attending since 2017 was to prioritize parent voice and be mindful of parents' time and allowing them multiple points to speak throughout the meeting. So it's not 9, I have glasses. I need to wear glasses now. 9, 10, and parents and communities are just getting the time to make their public comment. What they do is they have a public comment section right in the beginning of their meeting and after every kind of presentation to give parents who might need to go home and tend to their families time to bring up their concerns. So that sweet lady, Miss Rose, wouldn't have to wait until 9 o'clock to make her public comment. So I don't know if the council can discuss that during their business meeting to prioritize parent voice. And something that I brought up in the beginning of the year was let's talk about schools. So I'm very interested in specific conversations about what schools you are liaison for and what's happening around curriculum, state exam, test prep, the need for after-school programs, enrollment decreasing or increasing. So I would love for the council and for us as parent leaders and CEC leaders across the city, but specifically in Queens, to really start getting into the nitty-gritty of specific schools in our district. That's my biggest concern. Complaint about like the fair student funding presentations and the district planning presentations is that they don't come talking about specific schools. So I want to know what's going on with JCMS. I want to know what's going on with PS80. We could have had, in the future, we could have Principal McShane come and talk about the process of getting that after school program at her school. So prioritizing parent voice throughout the meeting so that people are not waiting for 3 hours, as well as discussing schools specifically. And in the next meeting, if somebody could present on what schools have the Black Studies program specifically and what grades they are servicing specifically and what are plans to roll it out in our district specifically, starting with what schools they're going to add. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was curriculum. I was in the District 27 CEC meeting, and they mentioned transitioning from Envisions to illustrative math. So I wanted to hear about what's happening with curriculum here in District 28. What math curriculum are they using district-wide, and are they transitioning to another math curriculum, as well as some feedback and updates on the HMH curriculum. Working at an elementary school, I see HMH personally every day. And I just want to add one thing. Let's every parent make sure your child can read and have them read to you at home and you read to them, because HMH does not do reading instruction or reading remediation. Thank you.
Thank you, Venus. And next we have Kevin Lee.
President Mazzatin and members of the council, my name is Kevin Lee, a lifelong New Yorker, and a New York City public school graduate residing in Forest Hills with my wife and 2 young children. I'm here today as a concerned parent and community member to urge the district and the council for the expansion and an improvement of summer rising, universal after-school programs, and 3K and pre-K access within District 28. I have sent a written testimony, so I'll try to boil this down to the key points. I want to thank New York City Public Schools and DYCD for keeping summer rising as a reality. However, last year, only 60% of accepted families actually attended, leaving thousands of families without a seat. I urge the district to improve the enrollment process to ensure seats are filled by families who will use them, which will make the program more efficient and equitable. I urge the CBOs providing the services at Summer Rising to focus on recreational and enrichment activities in July and August. So that means like sports like soccer and basketball, arts programs, and STEM-based activities to keep the students engaged. Universal after school is a necessity and not a luxury. Families right now are struggling with limited slots and long wait lists, leaving many children without a place in a structured after school program. And where there is an after school program, parents are often met with high costs. I appreciate the CBOs providing the after school programs, it's needed, but we need to push for universal after school programs. And last here, I have 3K and pre-K. We really need to increase the 3K and pre-K seats. And one way to do that is to support the faith-based institutions and community providers from birth to pre-K because they are capable of providing the wraparound services and the extended hours. So with that, I just want to thank you for your time and leadership on these critical issues.
Thank you, Kevin. I just want to piggyback on what you mentioned about Summer Rising. We are having a presentation next month's meeting, so please attend with the representative from the district office, Raj, who's an expert. Well, he's an expert at it, and he will be going through the Summer Rising process and explaining what families can do, how everybody can sign up, and he will be answering questions so we can get the most out of Summer Rising this month. So please attend next month's meeting, and anyone else who has any concerns about Summer Rising, he will be doing a presentation at our next meeting. So our next parent, Sasha Cruz.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Just wanted to give a kudos first to Principal Greco. We did attend their coffee and conversations with the principal last week, and it was extremely informative. To piggyback what Simone did say, they're extremely transparent. They overly share with parents to allow us to feel part of administration as well, and be an equal partner to what's best for the school, best for our kids. So definitely want to give a big shout out to Principal Greco for that, because it was a really great conversation we had with parents, and he really eased that. So definitely want to celebrate that. And then wanted to mention that yesterday was Ash Wednesday, and while we celebrate all the diversity in our district and in our schools, we didn't have non-meat options for like Catholics. They serve cheeseburgers on Ash Wednesday. So I think it'd be great to be able to partner up with the food and nutrition services to be able to have an option, a non-meat option available for our kids come next year. And also for Ramadan, there's like a lot of kids that are fasting during Ramadan. And I know it's an elementary school, but that we could have structured activities for them during lunchtime so that they're not seeing their friends eat lunch while they're fasting. So I think we just need to be able to take into consideration, all the different religions that are happening and how we could best serve our kids. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sasha. Thank you for just bringing that up, that, that opened up a lot of ideas just now that people probably just didn't even think of. So thank you, Sasha. Next, we have Vanessa Sparks.
Good evening, CEC28. Happy March and all of the festivities that go along with this month. I bring greetings from Community Board 12 under the leadership of Chairperson, the Reverend Carlene Thorbs, and under the leadership of the Education Committee for Miss Latoya LeGrand, I bring greetings. So first, I just want to thank all of the CEC members and Dr. Blake for attending last month's Community Board 12 meeting. Our community board meets every third Wednesday of the month, and our meetings are held both in person and virtually. So if you can't attend in person, you definitely can come on virtually. And I do remember last month seeing a number of CEC28 members, so I want to thank you for that. I want to thank Ms. Sasha for bringing up that point, because when we talk about diversity, we want to make sure that we're being all inclusive. And so I really appreciate her bringing up that point regarding Ash Wednesday. And I say that because I am a Christian, and I just want to thank you. So a couple of things. I want to thank Simone on all the work that she has done around the class size matter. I mean, you're just doing such a phenomenal job. I'm so happy and proud of District 28. We would like to see more principals from the south side of 28 that fall within Community Board 12 attend, and they can attend virtually those meetings because we need and want to hear from you. Decisions are made and assumptions are made at the DOE level, and they come before the community board, and we need to hear the needs and concerns of the principals, the building administrators, of the schools in our community board. So when an issue is brought before the community board, the education committee, or general membership, we can have some factual information. And lastly, I dropped in the chat. So we have a phenomenal college access program based out of Southeast Queens that this will be their fourth year. They give out $1,000 scholarships to graduating high school students, but they also provide two $500 scholarships for a graduating middle school student. So I put that information in the chat. Application deadline is March 14th. Awards are presented at their annual gala, which is held at the Jamaica Arts Center in the month of May. So please share that with your networks. If you are a graduating high school student from Queens, or if you are a middle school student graduating from a school in Queens, that application is open for you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Vanessa. And last but not least, our very own U of T member representative, Bruce.
Good evening, everyone. Great to be with all of you again. Sorry I joined the meeting late. Unfortunately, I had a scheduling conflict. I gotta say, I was burnt out today from a long day, and I almost didn't speak. But then there was so many things during this meeting that inspired me. I want to say congratulations to Jennifer and Arazu for joining the CEC. And I think it's amazing that Jada is now a member of the CEC. Student voice is so important to us in terms of supporting our schools and also improving our schools. I'm looking forward to joining the Teacher Center grand opening tomorrow at PS 54. And when I joined the meeting tonight, it was towards the tail end of the Black Studies curriculum presentation. But oh my gosh, I mean, what passion. I heard. I mean, it's like Belinda and Aziza, I mean, the passion of those educators is what makes this district great. And it's administrators, principals who support that passion, and support our educators correctly in the district that also make the district great. Um, there was some important points brought up by our CEC members, including Jada, about the issue with the Department of Education, the Federal Department of Education possibly being dismantled. We heard some concerns regarding IEP 504. You know, the main thing, and Jada brought up about college, all right? The main thing that Department of Education, Federal Department of Education, is providing our schools in our district and citywide is funding. All right, Title I funding, funding for our high needs students. All right, so we have to monitor this very closely. On Monday, UFT is having its annual UFT Lobby Day, where educators that work in our schools, as well as parents, both together go up to Albany to speak with our state legislators. And one of the things that we always speak about is funding for our schools. And because of this issue with the potential issue with the Department of Education, we're going to speak with our state legislators about possibly the state making up some of the losses that we might face by the Department of Education. But that does not stop us also from what Lauren was stressing, to reach out to our U.S. congressional representatives. Because what it comes down to is we should all be thinking the same thing and operating the same way. If they're not going to support our public schools, they're not going to support the public for the funding for our public schools, we're voting them out. That's it. All right. So we need to be really on top of that particular situation with the Department of Education. I look forward to our parents joining us up on Monday. We'll be up there all day speaking with our state legislators, trying to gain as much support for our schools as possible. And with that, everyone have a great evening.
Thank you, Bruce. Always bringing the fire. All right. Well, as our meeting comes to a close, I just want to make sure, does any other council member have any business that they want to mention? Okay. So I want to thank everybody for coming out to our meeting tonight. We are going to take a break and then start our business section of the meeting. So, but before we close, I want to give the Spanish interpreters. Do you have any questions on your end?
There are no questions in the Spanish line.
No problem. So again, thank you for coming to our meeting. Our next meeting is next month, April 3rd, and meeting is adjourned at 9:26. And interpreters, you are dismissed. Thank you. And council
Thank
members,
you.
let's come back at 9:30.
Their meeting left.
All right. We're now gonna call to order our business meeting at 9:35. We're gonna do roll call.
President, Vice President,
Here.
First Vice President Lauren Clavin,
Here.
Second Vice President Uyutal Chai,
Here.
Recording Secretary Natifa Lewis, I'm here. Treasurer Tanya Went, absent. Member Julissa.
I'm here.
Member Lou Zhao.
Here.
Member GK Kalyanaraman.
Here.
Member Pakita Williams.
Here.
Member Simone Dunbar.
Here.
Member Jennifer Solbes.
Here.
Member Arizal Tamashi. Member Jada Crawford.
Here.
Thank you. Our first form of business, First Vice President Lauren Clavin with our absentee forms.
We're good.
Well said. Thank you. Next, recording secretary, we want to look at last meeting's minutes.
This was sent out to members, so is there any objections, or does anyone want to vote to adopt the minutes?
Second. Thank you, recording secretary. All right, now we want to update our school list. Let me just bring up a screen. So with our new members, let's see. Okay. About CEC, school liaison. Okay. So now share screen. So right now, we just put our zoo in VJ's old spot as liaison of 140, 160, and 310. And we put Jennifer in the Rune spot, which is for 121, 50, and 55. So I just want to, share this. And one, if you guys, Jennifer, your student goes to which school?
144 in Halsey.
Awesome. So our goal is always to not liaison the school where our child goes. And our zoo's not here at the moment, but we could just keep them as it is, or we could kind of move around those schools. But are you okay with 121, 50, and 55 being the liaison to those schools?
I don't much information about schools, so there's nothing for me to say no.
I understand. Oh, anybody know about these schools they want to give Jennifer?
So 121 is on, oh, I'm muted, sorry.
Yeah.
121 is on 109, close to, hold on, Peter. It's on 109, close to 128, 128th Street. It is one of the only, the GNT has one of the only GNT programs in the southern side of the district. I do get mixed up with 50 and 55. 55, I believe it's 50. They're kind of both in the middle. Also more, I guess, towards the more middle to south rather than north. So if that works for you, I mean, we've tried to geographically spread out the schools when possible. But I mean, in the interest with time, as long as any of these are not your child's school, my recommendation would be to just take the one that's it. Okay. Mhm. Okay. I'm not sure what, Dorinda, do you have the schools that are so? No, her children.
Oh, 99.
Okay, so similarly, there isn't a conflict with those schools, so. Okay. All right.
Okay, so
And well, yeah, because the liaison schools, I believe, are just applicable to the adult members.
awesome. So we just keep it as is. We don't need to make a motion on this, right? We don't need to make a motion. Just keep it as is. Great. So that was our next form of business. And next we are going to discuss the end of year celebrations. Committee list. Look at that. Let's share screen again. Now we want to give this opportunity. Let me see. How do I go to this? See. My screen changing? Okay. So, and Jada could be on these as well. Okay, so for Jada and Jennifer, these are the committees that we have in D28. We could just go through them and you could guys just say if you want to be on or if you want more information about the committee. So our first committee is the bylaws committee, which helps organize and construct the bylaws. Can we make Jada a co-host so she could just unmute when she needs to? Dorinda? Can we make Jada a co-host? She is?
Oh, I could unmute.
Are you able to? Okay.
Okay. Oh yeah. Just raise your hand just so we know you like want to speak sometimes. So we could unmute.
To put the volume on.
Oh yeah, so we can put the volume. So Jennifer, that's the bylaws committee. And then we have the education equity committee.
So I would suggest reading out the committees and kind of giving an overview so that they can choose with that, because then they may say, okay, yes, I want to be on bylaws, and then overburden themselves because then they want to be on everything else.
Okay. So I kind of explained the bylaws, that's the committee that constructs the bylaws that we use. So you guys understand the bylaws committee?
Is there anything left for this school year to do with the bylaws committee? Because
No.
I mean, bylaws can be amended at any time. We just have to review it. So so a suggestion, for example, that Venus has been making is to look at when we do public comments. So that would be something that is something that is currently listed in our bylaws to happen when we do it. So if this is a part that we want to look at, we can review and amend the bylaws, which were done, when did we update the bylaws? I think in the fall?
Somebody.
Yeah.
So it was only a few months ago. I mean, it's recommended to at least review them and make any necessary changes annually. But if there's an amendment that needs to be put in, yes, like if an amendment is brought up at next meeting, which is April, to be honest, it's just gonna be applicable till June before maybe being reviewed in the following year when you have a new council. But I mean, most times, like I had to remind these guys, you don't need to redo the bylaws every council. You review and see what changes need to be made.
Okay. So our next committee, Education Equity Committee.
so the Education Equity Committee, dealt with basically ensuring that all the different students, so forth, that and families that we represent have equitable access to succeed. And as you see, it's a popular committee. I think like we're pretty much the whole council is on. And there is no limit, or there's no maximum or minimum, I think, in terms of the number of people who can be on a committee. It's where you think that you can have input. And if, for example, you join a committee and you realize, you know what, maybe this is not, I don't have the bandwidth for that, you can always remove. These are the standing committees, but you're not like beholden to them for the rest of your time.
And so are you guys interested in being on this committee?
Go through the rest of it.
Oh, we're just gonna go through all of them.
Yeah.
And then y'all pick. Okay, cool.
Right.
I make it faster.
So the outreach committee, you're chair of that.
I'm chair of that, yes. So outreach committee is pretty much outreach programs, ideas that we can bring to the community. We can just come together, and if we have an idea that might benefit the community, we talk about it, and then we just kind of set that event up. It can be anything that's valuable to the community.
So the logistics committee, as we mentioned, I think the next business item is the end of year celebration. What the council has started doing is having, a couple events that are either annual or so forth. So, we had it every year for the past couple, but we made a decision, I think, last year to move like our annual legislative breakfast to every other year, so that we can focus on the larger community event. So the logistics committee is just supposed to, help discuss the things that need to help support the AA and so forth, who does a lot of the work when it comes to, some of those outreach and so forth. I think this was a newer committee that we created last year prior to the breakfast. Safety committee. So the safety committee has been in place, I think, since during the pandemic, and spans issues ranging from school crossing guards, safety officers, traffic, violence in schools, whatever is during COVID time, the protocols for safety and hygiene, etc. That committee. So I think not all the committees were chaired by Quentin. I think his name had just replaced where outgoing president VJ was. But yeah, so the safety committee as well has sometimes been a popular one because there's so many things that happens, not necessarily just our district, but in New York City in general. Class size law was a newer committee that was created, especially with the state mandate for reduction of class sizes. As mentioned before, Simone was one of the co-chairs. Again, also with previous president Ramjata. No.
Yeah,
Oh, that was Quentin. Sorry. And yeah, so I think we've been having at least monthly meetings and so forth. I have not really been able to attend too much of it. If you want to give a little bit more on there.
I know the next two are.
Okay, so the class size committee was just helping the schools, being transparent to the community about what the class size law is and how it's being implemented, and with all the steps that's being taken into place, the funding, the applying and the implementing, we kind of just created this community to now hold the stakeholders accountable and just keep the schools and SLTs aware of what's being done and what we need to still do as parents to make sure it's implemented the right way and making sure all the facts are facts, and and just holding everybody accountable to see this through. So that's what that committee is. And the special education committee, we just had our first special education committee meeting, which is pretty much, we have a lot of parents that have children in special education that just want some more of their questions and concerns answered. And we just want to hold the district accountable and what we can do to kind of bring the knowledge of the special education and CPSE to the parents just in a better way, because we've seen a lot of people struggling with the understanding, the IEPs and the transitioning. So this just kind of, instead of making it part of the bigger meeting, it's something that we can kind of like make a smaller meeting and be more direct to the concerns that parents were coming here with. And that's all our committees. So now I'm gonna give you guys, Jennifer and Jada, an opportunity to say if you want to be a part of the committees, any of the committees. We always want you to be part of at least a couple committees, but definitely it's up to you. Let us know which committees you want to be a part of and we could update it.
Hello. So after hearing the rundown of the committees and how they work, I probably definitely want to be on Education Equity Committee because that like oversees everything in terms of like working with students and getting their opinions and making sure that everyone has a fair opportunity to take advantage of the programs that New York City DOE has to offer. And if I had to serve on another committee, out of all the ones that sound most my forte, there's probably special education, simply because I have a bit of a relationship with some of the paraprofessionals at my school, as I used to have some friends who do have IEPs and do have that experience. So I can feel like I can help talk with them and maybe gain some perspective into that. Though keeping in mind I am a high school student, so I may not have the same perspective as someone from a middle school or elementary school and what they have to go through in terms of that process. Thank you.
Thank you, Jada. We will update the committees, and thank you for being there. How about you, Jennifer?
Can you scroll up, please? Safety committee, please. Outreach committee. And education equity, please.
All right, thank you. And Rinda, you got it?
Yeah.
Awesome. So we will update the chat, the website, and we will, we could contact our zoo and just let her know of the committees, and we'll just go through this outside of the meeting. All right, next on our business meeting agenda is the end of the year celebration. So I sent 2 videos. I was able to go to, we had a list from Dorinda of the, like, at least it was a longer list of accessible schools to check out. And these 2 schools, PS 349 and PS 82, became the top contenders because the other schools, some didn't have a good amount of ventilation or ACs, and some of them just weren't like as accessible as we hoped. But then also we're expecting the whole district, so we want to make sure that we can at least in the summer of June, at least breathe better. So these 2 were the top contenders. Now, 349 is central air. It is fully modernized and it has no issues when it comes to space. In the hallways, updated cafeteria, and they have the stage, they have the technology if we had to do any presentations. And as in the video, they were actually having a meeting at the time for teachers. It was like going over something, but that's 349, and then has within a minute, I think a block away, there's 2 municipal parking lots. Just in case we don't get street parking, it does have access to parking. Both of these schools are central. And that's just kind of my main points from 349. From 82, they have the cafeteria that's downstairs, next within like their auditorium. They had a divider that could be moved. So that kind of was like all in one place. Whereas 349 has 2 different floors for the cafeteria and that auditorium. If we wanted to utilize both, the only thing that the custodian told us, the AC is not reliable. That was a concern that that was something that was concerning. And we're still gonna ask, hey, is it something that could be fixed? But it is an old building, so a lot of those things usually just get, updated, but they usually can't just fix the whole thing by June without really making it a massive project. But those are the 2 top contenders, and the reason why those schools are because they are central. So it's like we didn't want to go too far north or too far south. So we wanted to be as central as possible. And I would love to hear any feedback on what your thoughts are at moving or, setting it up to actually have our year-end event at one of these schools. Anybody could unmute and give some feedback.
Which was the one with the AC problem?
AC problem was 82.
82. And the 2 dates we were looking at.
Okay, so the 3 dates. We have 3 dates that we're looking at. in June, which is June 6th, June 13th, and June 20th. And time we're considering either 4:30 to 7:30 or 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And this is kind of what's been done in the past before my time. So I'm kind of seeing what was working back then.
So, I mean,
Can you repeat the time again?
Oh, well, just considering it's an after school evening event, so 4:30 to 7:30 or 5 p.m. to 8 p.m.
4:30 to 7:30 or 5
p.m. to 8
Well,
p.m.
what about those that work?
We could push it to the later time.
To raise my hand, I'm sorry. Oh.
Yeah.
The kids yelling out.
All
Sorry.
right. Go. All right. Go ahead, Simone.
First of all, thank you for touring the schools and for being so proactive. I really appreciate. I also appreciate that those schools are located centrally and they're accessible by public transport. Regarding the dates, the 6th is a non-school day. And like the Thursday, the 5th, and the 6th are, at least for elementary schools, non-school days. And the 20th is in between the 19th and the 21st, and June 19th. So I think the best date would be the 13th because the school is in session and there's no holiday for it. Otherwise, I don't have any remarks.
Okay. And anyone else? Pakita.
Oh, yes. I was thinking about all of the little doodads they have for graduation in June. So I know with last year there was some things going on in the later part of the month with the senior trip and the this and the that. And also when I don't know the location. You said it's not too far north and not too far south. Where is it exactly?
I'll give you the exact street.
okay,
So they're actually near this office. They're actually walking distance from here.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, that's good.
I came here and we walked.
So the Long Island Railroad is there. If you take the Long Island Railroad, all of the buses are around. And that's good. You said
F-train.
there's a parking lot nearby one of the schools, 349.
349.
Which that's good. I think the deal breaker is the AC. It could be, can't be, could be fixed. You don't want to find out. Oops, they can't be fixed. So also the time. I don't know. Are we up to the time yet? Okay, because it's 4:30 to 7. What about the people that work or like
5 to 8.
I don't know.
So you like the 5 table? Well, this is why we're here. We're here having the discussion.
I ain't gonna work. I'll be there at 12 noon. First say,
But it's a school day.
The one point I also want to make. Oh, sorry. Where is my thing? Oh, did I get knocked off of the Zoom?
Nah,
Am I
you're
on?
there. You're there. You're there. You're just in a different.
Oh, hold on. No, I was looking at the calendar. Sorry.
So the one thing though that I would just say when we're considering the dates, be mindful that Friday evenings for our Jewish families is a concern.
Last year.
No, but no, I'm just saying, but those were some of the feedback sometimes also from the community that, as we talk about the inclusivity, it's in June, so at that point in time, sunset is pretty late. So, but then since we are like a K to 8th mainly district, for the little ones, the later you go sometimes cuts into bedtime. So that's why you have, yes, you want to balance off between working parents versus that. But if with sufficient notice, sometimes you can, might be able to accommodate a little bit or, stagger in without pushing it too late, like if it was for older kids. So that's like one of my concerns that I would still err with the earlier time. And one of the other parts that I wanted us to talk about was performances, getting school performances. So if we have school performances, especially younger kids, having those kids after a day of school and to come out very late in the evening can be problematic.
Very good points, because that's something else we want to consider. We are looking to have to celebrate the
You mentioned
schools.
Seventh-day Adventists, you know, so a lot of
Yep, Seventh-day Adventists. So sunset is later, but that's something to include and consider. So we have those dates. Simone brought a very good point on just not June 6th is a non-school day. June 20th is the day after Juneteenth, and it's June 13th is actually just not really mixing with anybody. So that date kind of stands out. And then the 4:30 to 7:30, considering the times compared to religions, and it's a full school day, then you're coming back out with your family, and then you're performing. So, some kids they really want to show up and perform, so I get that. But it's also like you've been at school from 7:30 that morning, maybe leaving. So that could be a long day. So I definitely see Natifa's point. So that's two things. Does anybody disagree with the 13th and the early time for any reason?
Disagree with it. Sorry. But to consider all possibly like graduations, we can't take that. We don't know so many.
Yeah, that's why, like, I would, if the 6th wasn't a holiday, I would have pushed to have it the 6th, because to me, like, once you get into the second week of June, you start with all the graduations. So the other thing, I mean, are we definitely like married to a Friday? Because that can help with two things. What about like even considering, what was that date? The 4th of June, which is a Wednesday, which is the day before. The 5th of June is a holiday. So you're not as worried about kids having to go to school early the next day, which is one of the reasons that Fridays tend to work. But then I'm saying you're less likely to run into the graduation conflicts and so forth. So I don't know on the school part.
I don't know all the graduation schedules. I just know my daughter's on June 13th. So.
Okay. Well,
no, that's a valid point.
No,
right,
but
but
that's
so
that's
that's a whole
That's a whole
family.
school. That's not one
That's a
family.
whole family.
That's
Right.
Halsey. So that's
Huh?
What time is the graduation?
It ends at 5.
It don't matter.
You're not coming back out. You're going out to eat. Okay. So we just found Jennifer's child is graduating on June
Wednesday,
13th.
because the next day is a day off. The next 2 days are days off.
James said it's a prom, June 4th is my
Oh,
Oh, wait a minute.
let's pull up.
Let's pull up
calendar.
the day before Juneteenth. It's also a very popular prom date.
Which one?
They got the senior trips.
Huh?
Which prom? Which prom is it?
The day before
Juneteenth.
The day before
June 18th.
Yes, because
Okay,
for the
nice.
same reason.
Here.
Oh.
We didn't do it last year, we did it 2 years ago.
Before and
Oh.
when the air was there.
So now all right. So we have so all right, we're cutting it close. So now we need to hopefully make a decision tonight so we can start working towards it. So June 4th was good until Jada just surprised us that she's going to be prom queen that night. And so what other date, if not that date?
May 30th.
Ooh, no, that's Memorial Weekend.
Yeah, that's
That's the Friday after.
last Friday in May, May 30th.
Is there anything on the school calendar?
I didn't even know it was Friday. Before all the hoopla started, the graduation.
Okay. That was, look at you, just you just threw it out there, but that's a date. How does everyone feel about May 30th? It's the last Friday in May.
Someone, Jada has a hand raised.
Oh, go ahead, Jada.
Yeah, I was gonna agree with May 30. May 30 is also good. And I was also going to You mentioned Miss Lauren's point of who is typically invited or who typically comes to an event, to this event, to like gauge the age demographic. So that could also have a factor into the,
Well, it's the entire district.
Yeah.
oh, so all grades essentially.
Well, I mean, we're catering for the District 28 grade, so K to 8. Well, pre-K to 8 or three, what is it? 3K to 8? Yes. We're not as pitted around the high school part because they, you have the separate high school things, but yeah, it's definitely the elementary and middle school families.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hang it out. Sorry.
Go ahead, Pakita.
I just want to know, do you have to get the AOK from the school, like to make sure they're not doing anything that
Yes.
day?
So once we make a decision and a date, then we're gonna reach out to the school.
Take 2
2
days,
days,
just
yeah.
in
Okay.
case. Just in case. They say, oh, no, we got our such and such, you know.
Mhm.
And I just know that. Oh, somebody want me to, I wasn't unmuted.
Who is?
Sorry.
You-
And I just know too that.
Someone also had mentioned something.
Seventh-day Adventists and Jewish, they start their
Celebrate
Sabbath
that,
at sunset.
Sabbath. Okay.
Okay,
So,
so we have May 30th. Is that our top contender right now? It's looking like
We could also do Thursday, the 29th.
30th and Thursday, the 29th. Okay. All right. So, and everybody's open to more of the 4:30 to 7:30 time instead of the 5 p.m. to 8 p.m.
well, who's taking off work?
I mean, either one would think, but my whole issue is just like with the kids because I saw it not well, we didn't have as many kids last time because of the smoke, but yeah, but at least one of the groups that was supposed to be there, they had them stay at the school and they were supposed to come from the school, so it becomes the longer time that the kids are sometimes waiting or whatnot, so it becomes a long day with younger kids.
Hey, but when you say younger, we're not talking about babies. We're talking about elementary.
Yeah, we're talking
Yes, we're
pre-K.
talking from pre-K up.
Everyone's invited.
Yeah.
From
But
3K.
Well, let them play Roblox. That'll be fine.
Roblox.
3 hours, and so have to come after work. They can come later.
Yeah.
And those with little kids, they can leave earlier. I think it's a good time frame to accommodate many people.
Cool. All right, cool. Next we have
So wait, what did we decide?
Oh no, so far I'm just throwing everything out there, but so far what's winning is May 30th, 4:30 to 7:30. And is everybody still siding with PS349? Just because it comes with the central air and it has just more modernization and technology and parking. That's the only things that's separated from 82.
I'm fine with that. They're equally close, I think, to the trains that are around there.
Oh, Jada. Go ahead, Jada.
Thank you.
You
unmute.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, I was going to mention how someone was mentioning to stagger the time so that like maybe the younger kids could perform first and then the older kids and then the older kids. Because I remember when I went to the Beach Channel event with my school chapter of MBSK, that's how they had it. They had it so the younger kids were going in a certain order and then the older kids went like after them. That way everyone got a chance to perform depending on like their age level and like appropriateness level too. So that's just an idea.
Yeah.
The other thing would be, I agree with what Jada was saying, and then now it would be the number of performers. How many are we looking to have within that time? Because we're also gonna give out like some awards. We're probably gonna have like a couple people say, say things or whatnot. So about how many performers are we looking to do, in terms of variety? Because, we're in what, March? No, yes, we're in March. Sorry.
So when you say performance, oh, my hand is.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's fine.
Go ahead. So, like, what would you want them to do? Sing or dance?
Yeah, like, so if as you've been communicating with your liaison schools, you've seen something, wonderful at a school that you would like to present. So, we know the tree, I think it was 358 or, one of them, they were supposed to do like a step dance. You may have like a nice choir. Miss Duvernay, who was on, PS48 has a lovely theater program, and they were supposed to do like an excerpt, like a short excerpt at it or so forth. So so it could be a bunch of different things, like if you have one of the elementary schools do a choir or so, whatever it is. So this is where I'm saying we want to cater for a mix of, yes, it can be solo, it can be group. But this is where, as I said, we need to figure out, are we looking for 5 performers? Are we looking for 10? Are we looking for 1? Are we looking for 3? And what, like, in terms of the time limits within there. So if we have, ideally for me, it would be great if you can have, at least a couple performers from elementary, a couple performers from the middle school, the time, huh?
We don't do high school.
Well, I mean, we have a couple of high schools, but most of the high schools are not under Dr. Blake or so forth. Right, but no, but I'm saying if there's a high school that is part of our, especially like the 6 to 12 schools. So if, for example, Jada's from a 6 to 12 school. Queens Collegiate is a 6 to 12 school. Yeka is a 6.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a few of the schools that are part of there, and if you have, but the idea is to focus on the kids that are in catered to 8.
So
2 performances, 20 minutes?
No,
No, not
20
too
minutes.
long.
Whoa,
No,
hey,
no.
the kids. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, these kids dancing and singing for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
So-
about five,
so
about 5 minutes
think-
perform. I prefer
With-
more
with
performance
3
so that you can
hours?
feature the district, right? But shorter performance, so like about 5 to 7 minutes a performance. You give time for transition and setting up. So basically, a performer, like, to set up and get off a performance shouldn't take more than 10 minutes. So if you have about 4 performers, that's what, 10 fours 40, that's 40 minutes or whatever it is. That's less than an hour out of the time. You take into time for eating, for whatever else. Your 3 hours can go into there.
All right, so we should do like 5 to 7 minutes each, just so they could come with a specific plan. So it's like if they're singing, sing your song. It's like I like the 10 minutes, and it's like I'm just thinking of we're gonna have a lot of people coming in and out. So like people mentioned, this is not like a agenda where the performers could be on the agenda, but families can come in at, let's say, 4:30 and say, hey, I'm just here till 5 and just leave,
Program,
And then we're gonna determine, because we're gonna give out, as I said, like,
the awards.
yeah, like recognize a couple students and so forth. So which is another thing, liaisons. In the past couple of years, we've been going sometimes when able to like the graduations and giving out the things. If we're having the end of year part, are we looking to do them there, or are we still looking to do them at the graduation? Still at graduations? Okay. But what the parent leaders or whatever else. So last time it was quite nice that we were, even though we were under the horrible ash smell, it was yeah, and we had a lot of food left over. We had taken about 5 boxes because
So wait, let me ask you, you said you're gonna
Like, did you say anything like on the students?
I'm sorry?
Give an award to a student?
Yeah, so we
Yeah,
can
so we can continue like the logistic discussions in terms of exactly what we don't want to necessarily spread the
Yeah, let everybody know.
But yeah,
But yeah, so we want some time for performances, we want some times for formal thank yous and so forth for the district. We want some time to eat, socialize, maybe play a game. I don't know. That kind of stuff.
Okay, well, if we're adding that, so I think we should do like 4 performances, so we can get like
Four or
4
five.
4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 to
Yeah,
5.
let's do 5 because I also want to throw in D75 performance. So it's like, so all right, so we'll do 5 performances. That's the goal, and then we're gonna be able to fit in the rest of the stuff. Who would like to be on the logistics committee for this end of the year celebration? So end of the year celebration.
We can
Who's that? Tamika. Tamika.
Yes.
Off the record wants to be part of. Does anyone else want to be part of the end of the year celebration committee that's going to help put this whole thing together?
Okay, because we're gonna need to determine things like decoration. We're gonna need to,
coordinate
Food.
with like during the normally, as we gotta get in like the food and that kind of stuff. We will need, to set up to do those kind of things to make sure that we have all of those.
So it sounds like Natifa, like, okay, so is anybody else volunteering to be on this committee?
Yeah, I do that.
GK and Pakita?
The logistics,
Just putting this event together.
yeah, just to make sure that everything is
Decorations.
we're the event planners.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah.
event plan.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Jada? Got
I could join it as okay. Yeah, definitely you want it from a student perspective.
yeah. Let us know if we're just thinking outdated.
Yes,
who said they
from my school,
who was that?
Oh, that was Jada. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah, so I think, I mean, at least we have dates we can, because so we can start doing it. Oh, and another thing that I think would be cute, in terms, because we're talking about a number of performers, but I would also love if we can have, like an art, exhibition at the, or like a lot of the schools have been doing some phenomenal art pieces, whether it is, so maybe your school is not selected to be a performer, but you can submit some artwork from your school or whatnot. So our logistics committee is gonna be, to decorate.
So that's true.
That is
Well,
very
we're
cool.
gonna start working on this.
Yeah, so I'll join that committee as well. So, all right.
We can set up like a chat to focus
Set up-
on that, yeah.
Yeah, so right now we have our face representative, Tamika, Natifa, GK, Jada, and myself as part of this committee. Anybody else, you could always join. You're thinking about it, but
Are you planning?
yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and Pakita, and Pakita.
All
All right, so we'll set up.
And I'll be calling you tomorrow.
No problem. All right, and okay, so other than that, the next class size committee meeting. I know we've been talking about this stuff. We don't have a date. We're gonna table that. We will
We can do that in our.
chat. We can chat. We'll get that chat set up and do that. So okay, and other than that, it is 10:20 on the dot. Meeting is adjourned. See you guys in the WhatsApp.